Pre-show.
Oh shit.
The pre-show. So now we talk about stuff.
Now we can. Now this is when we talk about all of the racist things that could hurt us for the future.
Yep, of course. Need to get that out before the podcast starts.
Absolutely.
Yeah. More Strike Witch is coming. There's an idol unit now. It's canon.
No one cares about Strike Witches. Okay.
It's canon.
I care about Strike Witches. Fuck you.
Exactly.
I stopped caring about Strike Witches when they put them all in hot pants and they looked like they were 11.
No, isn't that what everybody wants?
I mean, so since 2005, okay.
Yep, pretty much. Actually,
no.
I think I didn't hate
anniversary of the anime, so like they announced a bunch of stuff. There's 3 new anime coming out, and one of them is with a new joint fight wing, which will be the 509, but they don't fight. They entertain the troops as idols. I was like, oh no, fucking idol is taking over the industry again.
If I remember right, the first Strike Witches actually wasn't that bad.
I remember. It's not. I prefer
remember trying one out a few years ago and I hated it.
I prefer the spin-offs, the manga and the light novels. They're quite fun, especially Witches of Africa. That one's good. You have George S. Patton leading a bunch of cute girls. That was amazing. The Patton girls. I'll never forget that.
Just waiting for YouTube to say we're live here.
YouTube already said you were live for me.
Not the thing that tells me we're live.
Okay.
It will never tell you.
Is it on a schedule?
No, just connecting.
No.
Twitch and Mixer are connected. Have you guys heard of Periscope, by the way?
Yeah.
Yes.
What is your opinion on it? I think it sucks.
My opinion on it is that it's been used in a lot of beatings and
Ooh. They involve racism.
Use your sexual assaults to just show everybody, what it's like to beat somebody up or sexually assault someone.
I'll have to get in on that. What?
No, it was a real.
Do they accept sexual assault and beatings in furry outfits?
Yes.
Oh well, I mean, come on, Tori, am I right? Count us in.
No.
I'm glad I wasn't part of that us.
You live in. I was about to say you live in Africa. You live in Brazil.
Is it really?
Man, who cares? It's all Mexico.
Oh,
right?
Speaking of Africa, did you guys hear about the poachers that got eaten by the lions when they went to hunt rhinos on a game reserve?
That was like what, last year? That was pretty awesome.
Wasn't it pretty recently?
That was like last year.
Last week. No, it was like last week.
Oh, it happened again? Lions are getting...
Three poachers got eaten.
Have they confirmed that it's 3? They said it was like 2, maybe 3.
Well, I think they only.
A lot of things left. There's not a lot of mortal rests left, so they cannot confirm it was only 3 people. But they found remains of 3 people.
They also found 3 pairs of shoes and 3 sets of gloves, and 3 hunting rifles. So they're pretty sure that it was just 3 people.
That's pretty awesome.
I wish it was more.
I wish there was more assholes getting eaten by lions, personally.
Those assholes tend to hunt in a 3-person pack, like to hunt rhinos.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I thought I was just like, the world is sorting itself out. Good. Like, it's nice to see that, right? Like, we have all these terrible things going on with politicians and our economy and everything. And then in Africa, 3 poachers were eaten. And you're just like, that makes sense. That makes all the sense.
Natural selection at its best.
Darwin was correct. Survival of the fittest. You had high-power hunting rifles, axes, all sorts of shit, and the lions still ate your ass.
So everything says we're online, boys.
Alright then.
So we ready to get this started?
Give me 2 seconds. You just need to make sure that everything is at the ready.
Tell me when to hit record.
And everything is at the ready.
Is it now? Alright.
Yep.
I think I gotta put my
Checking
cat in the
a
other
bunch of
room.
green
He's
lights.
being trouble.
Cat.
Everything is ready. No
Come here, kitty
hooks
cat.
today.
JD and his fucking cat.
Come here. Bad kitty. Want a bad kitty.
I don't want to be.
Chill. Alright. Alright, he's a good kitty for now. He is a cat after all.
I don't know, man. My cat isn't like yours. Thankfully.
What, a guy, a thing that'll attack you the back of your leg on the way to the bathroom at 4 a.m.?
Yep. That doesn't happen.
My leg is bleeding. What?
What, my cat gets you too?
I don't know. I was just thinking about striking.
feel like-
and I was like, oh, my legs.
I feel like-
and I just put my hand in there and there's blood. What?
It's
What did I
basically
do
what
to
happens
myself?
is there's a terrible cross section when you have both a cat and a child. You feel and you get up to go to the bathroom at 4 a.m. You feel like John McClane. Your feet are bleeding. Your back, your calf hurts. Is all scratched up. You're just like your pant leg is missing. You're like, what is going on?
Yes, kitty, I know. Alright.
And
All right,
then
guys.
A German shows up in your house and says, "Who do you think you are, Buck Rogers?" And then you just like, you don't even know what's going on anymore.
Where's the cameras? Okay, you
Roy
shut up.
Rogers, not Buck Rogers. Roy Rogers.
My phone will be quiet now.
Into shit.
The undisturbed mode.
Is football coming home, boys?
Football is coming home.
Okay.
For the
It probably needs to be said at this point.
I think I've said it enough.
Well, no, not on the podcast.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
That will be my intro then.
Hey, Corey, how about you do the intro then?
No. You can do that.
And I do it for all of the casts.
I know, but if you want somebody else to do the intro, maybe you should clue them in beforehand and not just like, so we're recording, you're doing the intro. It's like,
Pussy. Okay. Countdown?
Sure.
Alright. 3, 2, 1, go. Welcome, all of our favorite listeners out there. All 3 of them. Tori, is football coming home?
Football's coming home!
Needs to be said. Needs to be said. We have a fantastic episode, and welcome to the Red Leaf Retrocast. Worldwide Weebs. This is episode 28, where we review Aura Battler Dunbine. But that's not all. We have a fantastic and wonderful guest by the name of... Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Brains from the Trash Pandas Watch Anime Podcast.
Whoa, this guy over here. And then we can't forget about our last host. Hickey, you're back for a second straight episode? What's happening here?
Right? I finally became a lawyer, so I don't have anything better to do with my life.
Is life over or just starting for you?
I don't know, because when I became a lawyer, I was like, yes, I'm a lawyer now. What do I do?
How do I lawyer?
What does a lawyer do?
So
I'm still thinking about what to do next, but yeah, I'll figure it out sooner or later. Or I can just watch anime every day, so that's fine.
I like the anime part.
Movies like Wolf of Wall Street have told us what high-end lawyers and just people do in a high-end area, and what that is lots and lots of cocaine.
Well, it's a good thing he's from Brazil and Mexico.
Yeah,
Mexico.
And wash money. Money washing and
Oh man.
don't wash dirty money. If you want to, I know how. But please do not do that. That is bad.
Well, today on this cast we got also we're talking about isekai anime. You know, that whole another world parallel thing going on. We seem to get a new one every Oh, Tori, your enthusiasm I think speaks volumes to what that conversation's going to be like.
Nah. We'll leave it for then.
I think we have 3 this season.
5.
Oh my God, there's 5?
There's 5.
Oh, you're right, because I forget about
Overlord season 3 is coming out as well, so 5.
Overlord, and then like that
Oh fuck, Overlord 2. There's 6. My God.
6?
Yes.
What? I was counting 5 with Overlord.
I'm counting 5 without Overlord. But anyways, we can go over that later.
Yeah, so for those
Newport should be out, but then racist stuff happened, so it would be 7.
Oh God.
Yeah.
One less isekai anime for us to worry about. And for those wondering, this is about the time at the end of a anime season where we start to review and talk about what happened and even preview the next season. We're going to save that for a couple weeks from now because Brains takes precedence over the anime season. That's how important you are, my friend.
I think you have your priorities messed up.
No way. No way. This is a Retrocast, and the Retrocast does take priority over the modern stuff. Modern stuff is part of topics. True. So,
wait, are you saying I'm old?
I think we're both old. Oh, God.
Nice save.
Well,
wasn't a bad one, no. That was a pretty good save.
I mean, I've been called old on this cast I don't know how many times.
A few.
No, you're not that old. You're just like almost 40. That is fine.
Almost.
Only 10 years, almost 40. That's how I'm going to introduce myself at a bar from now on. Hi, my name's JD. I'm 10 years, almost 40. How are you? And then she leaves, and I'm like, what? Why? What happened?
There's no way this man is 10 years old.
Yeah, that's the part they take away.
They're like, I'm not going to be part of a mother-son fantasy that you want to play out.
Shh, don't tell all my fetishes. That was on the hentai cast.
Next one.
Oh God.
JD likes mother-son fantasies.
No, if you listen to the pre-show, I clearly like beating people up in furry outfits.
Oh, yeah, that is right. With Tori.
With Tori. It has to be with Tori.
No! I don't have fantasy.
He asked if you were into this, and you were like, yeah, sure. We can do that.
I didn't say yes! What the fuck are you talking about?
Thank you, I'm not on that. Oh, well,
I was interested in the beating.
So, like, oh, okay.
I was interested in the beating, not the furry costume part. Fuck you.
Okay, good to know. I know how much language I can use now.
A lot.
Oh man, this is off to a great start. I love it. So random. It's just full of the things. So before we forget, Brains, how about you just do the whole plug the stuff thing, and then we can get going here.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta remember all the stuff. I'm Brains. I'm from the Trash Pandas Watch Anime podcast. where we have one simple motto, and that's we dig through the trash so you don't have to. We have about, I think, 172 total episodes.
Damn.
At current, 133 weekly episodes. I'm about to put out 2 back-to-back because of recording issues. Just military kind of interfered with it. And so
come on, it's not the government's fault for everything.
Literally was this time. I mean, when they sent poor little bullets out to Indiana for 2.5 weeks, it was.
Oh man, trooper! I support the troops on that.
So
Indiana.
yeah, and so we have like we have quite a few different episodes. We have our weekly episodes where we kind of go back and cover old stuff and new stuff. We even made sure to put all of our impressions in one episode so that we could do that. We have a series of episodes where we review books, a series of episodes where we do a live commentary track for Ecchi, another one where we do a live commentary track for OVAs, like terrible OVAs, and yeah, we got a One Piece couple of episodes and of JoJo's couple of episodes too. So you can find all that at tpwapodcast.com. And we swear a lot. The graphic language warning used to like create a barrier of entry because it was more swearing than we typically did in a show, but that's gone now, so be warned.
Ooh. Yeah, we swear here, but not so much.
It varies.
It varies by the language we feel like speaking.
Usually on a 3-12 show, it's more heavy. It's fine.
It's funny how you bring up the watch the trash so you don't have to. That's we've been on a roll of. We were on a roll a couple times of doing that as well. We don't try to do that here. We try to just watch old anime that people may have missed or should have watched, or maybe it's relevant to the past. Just anything along those lines. And we've watched some interesting things on this. I think crazy super future bed anime comes to mind.
Yeah.
We did our Satoshi Kon episode. That was fun.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what is he talking about? I got it now, though.
Yeah.
I got it.
But then we've done some crazy classics that I myself am very happy we've done. And Tori, I always say it, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Anne of Green Gables was a timely classic.
Sure is.
Have you seen that, Brains, by any chance?
Too hard to,
Shut up, Icky.
I do not think so, now that I think about it.
Classic Miyazaki and Tomino and fucking Isao Takahata.
I'm familiar with it, but I don't know if I've seen it. Like, I'm familiar with the story, but I don't know if I've seen the anime.
Well, I highly recommend it, and if you're listening, definitely go back and listen to that episode. It was one of our favorites to do, that's for sure. We had a lot to say. Alrighty, let's get into our first discussion and only discussion topic, which is talking isekai anime.
Isekai is that and the other thing.
Oh, you're right, Tori. I'm sorry. You have a quest update.
I do have a quest update. Alright then. So, as you all know, or if you don't know, I'm doing the quest where I'm watching anime from, besides watching anime for this podcast, I'm watching anime from old to present. So, started back in the 70s, and I've worked my way all the way up to the 2000s, and I'm now almost finished with 2009. I just have to watch Eden of the East, and then I'm done with the 2000s and go into the 2010s. So, the shows that I watched, the first show that I watched was a show that the music lover me was very happy with, and that is Nodame Cantabile, or however you're supposed to pronounce that.
You would be correct, because it's French.
I know it's French. I don't speak French. I speak English, not French.
He doesn't need to surrender that often, so he didn't learn French. Makes sense.
Yeah. Anyways, so basically, Nodame Cantabile is like it's a show produced that came out in like 2007. It's produced by JC staff and directed by Kasai Kenichi, who's done other things like Amanchu and Bakuman. And yeah, it's basically it's like a music romance set in college. Gives similar vibes as to Your Lie in April, for example, which is one I know people liked a lot. This
less depressing.
It is less depressing. This is basically where Your Lie in April was more comedy drama. This is more comedy. There is drama, but it's usually played up for comedy as well. And basically, we follow a man called Shinichi Chiaki. He is just a god to music. Like he's currently studying piano, but he really wants to become a conductor, or what's holy shit,
a maestro.
Maestro, that's the one. So yeah, so but he's currently studying piano, and he's fantastic at piano. He got started playing violin. He's fantastic at violin, and although not specifically mentioned in the show, you see it very often that it is kind of referred to him as having perfect, or it's implied that he has perfect hearing, because he can hear when he's dealing with orchestras and stuff, he can hear what every single one is doing. So if even just a single, even though there are multiple instruments and many people play the same instruments, if any of them is making a mistake, he'll hear it immediately.
Yeah, he's got a perfect pitch.
Perfect pitch. Yeah. Perfect pitch, perfect hearing. It's so yeah, and he runs into this girl called Nodame, or Megumi Noda, they call her Nodame, and she is surprisingly good at the piano. If she can take it seriously, because she can't. She doesn't she doesn't really read music. She doesn't like reading music. But she can do this thing is, she can play any piece that she hears just by ear. The problem, obviously, is that it doesn't sound the same. It's her version, and she just has more fun. But she is incredibly silly, incredibly weird, doesn't shower, lives in a trashy apartment, and yeah, basically, I've only watched the first season, and that mostly just kind of shows us how Chiaki meets Nodame, and how they get to know each other and figure out each other's musical strengths. So I enjoyed the show a lot. I'm a big fan of music. I like classical music too, and I'm absolutely going to be watching more of this in the future.
It is an easy watch. At least it was for me.
Yeah, it is.
Just to add something, the first season of the live action is very good. I know you won't believe me because it's live action, but this one has a interesting and quite good first season of the live action.
I've only seen clips from it, and I gotta say, a lot of the jokes that are used in the anime really doesn't translate that well to live action, in my opinion. It becomes very silly, but not in a funny way, in more of a cringy way.
Yeah, I can imagine
domestic abuse and all
No, as we discussed, that's what makes all of the best anime.
Of course.
I will say though that like some of the live action adaptations, I don't think a lot of them are good, but like Hickey said, the Nodame Cantabile, or
yes.
Anyways, the Nodame live action.
Leave it to the American that can't pronounce French words.
I speak French. It's not that hard. Sorry.
Would you believe that I know Latin, but I can't speak French because I raged out in my French class in college?
Yep.
Yeah, I get you.
But so that live action is good, and they have a live action for like Great Teacher Onizuka as well that is very good. And GTO being like a very comedy heavy show, they shift the comedy in that in both those shows so that it fits better with the live action where it's not as cringy. There's only like
I just said that's good.
oh yeah, so like the GTO some of the GTO jokes they make sure they're not as cringy as they could be. I think there's like one or two that are kind of cringy, but like total out of the whole series. So one or two joke moments that are a little cringy.
Yeah, because certain character aspects, such as Nodami kind of throwing herself on Chiaki in the like the middle of the street, and then she falls over, and that just wouldn't seem to translate well on a live action screen to me.
Yeah, for sure.
One
That's
example.
just kind of the thing with anime. I was like, there's a lot in anime that just doesn't work in live action, or if you do, it looks way more silly than it does when it's animated.
But hey, Legendary Pictures is going to help make that Gundam movie.
I have to see it.
Oh, this is gonna be awesome. Gundam live action. It's gonna be full CG, but I don't care.
G Savior was so great, guys. We needed a sequel.
Yep. All right. And yeah, the other thing I watched, just real quick, I also watched Spice and Wolf, both seasons. So
Wow, you finished the second season already too?
Yeah, of course I did. It's
Boy, you must have hated it.
Dude, it was terrible. No. Yeah, no, like, let's see. Spice and Wolf is a show produced by, it's like, there's two seasons. My God, sorry. I've got a blister in my mouth or something, so I'm struggling to speak. Like, yeah, it's produced by Studio Imagine, and it's got 2 seasons, 1 season of 13 episodes, although episode 7 was technically DVD only. So, and then you have another season of 12 episodes. So I watched it all, and Spice and Wolf is basically, you meet the powerful wolf deity Holo, who is revered, and she is kind of the symbol of like of wealthy harvest and whatnot. She is kind of from old faith. They prayed to her to bless the harvest of wheat and whatnot, and just. But one day we meet Kraft Lawrence, the merchant, and he is just kind of passing through, selling goods like he always does, and this wheat wolf deity sneaks into his carriage, and off they sat on their fantastic adventure together, learning about economy and trading and stuff like that, and you know. Just based on the sounds of it, it doesn't sound that good, but like just the relationship between Holo and Lawrence and just their interactions, I would say that's basically what carries this show. Not that the show is necessarily boring, though it can be.
A lot of banter, a lot of witty banter.
Yeah, there's lots of back and forwards, and just kind of seeing that, you know, Holo being obviously very much a fox, not a fox, a wolf, and she is, well, they do kind of...
Oh, she's a fox, like, let me tell you.
Well, yeah, but like she is, you know, constantly flirting with him, constantly trying to get him on edge, constantly trying to, like, make him scared, make him nervous. So it's very interesting. And then, you know, get the merchant stuff in there, just the trading, the like, oh no, I'm all about like profit versus risk and whatnot, and where everyone is like on the fucking highest high risk, high reward stuff. He is kind of doing more like lesser reward, but also less risk, and ultimately evolves a bit throughout the show. But yeah, I'd say it has some. I have some problems with it, and it mostly stems from what I would call light novel problems. And you have stuff like Lawrence. He's a smart man, but he is also very dumb in certain regards, and that's kind of the light novel protagonist type stuff when he is
Sure.
also retardedly dense. So you do get a bit of that, but just overall in general, I thought Spice and Wolf was a fantastically well done show, and I enjoyed it quite a bit more than not than I thought that I would, but I was interested. Like, I know it was popular by a lot of people, and that they think Spice and Wolf is an incredible show. So, but I was curious as to would I agree with that, because I don't necessarily always agree with this, and just kind of seeing trading in an anime, it's like, how interesting can that really be?
No, I was in the same boat you were, because I watched this on my Quest as well, and the more as the series went on, I was like, wow, the dialogue's actually really good. And in light novels, it's generally pretty cringe, or it's all over the place, and they can't adapt it right, or what have you. Lawrence at times is very dense, but that doesn't take away from the fact that he's very smart in what he does for a living. So you can be a dumb person, but be smart at what you do. Hickey will also learn that being a lawyer, for example.
Yeah.
I'm gonna gamble with people, just like Lawrence did. Fuck off, and then you probably go to jail. And, yeah.
Yep. Different times. But yeah, I've had I watched two really good shows. The 2000s are coming to an end now for my Quest. Like, I have enough of these left, and then we'll be done with that. So I'm looking forward to the 2010s.
Oh, 2010. Oh no.
Girls' time.
So, Tori, if you really liked Spice and Wolf, though, like the economy aspect of it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think they could have done certain things to kind of, I don't want it to be too exposition heavy and too like explainy, but I do think there are certain things about the economy and just trading in general that I think were kind of not pushed to the side necessarily, but they kind of just expect you to understand. And I do understand parts of it, but it's like I did miss certain explanations, and like, for example, pricing. I mean, I understand how pricing works, but when they start hanging up signs of prices, it's just like, how am I reading this? Like, that's a lot. Yes.
That's a number on the screen. That number is big. Maybe. It's like reading Hungarian money. It's like, okay, I have 10,000. What is this?
I have 10,000 of something.
I know it's money.
It might be worth something. It might not.
It's like, I'd like the stick of gum.
If you liked that aspect, and if you haven't seen it already, but in I think it's 2013 when it would show up, 2013 or 2014 in your Quest, there's a show you should watch called Mao Yu.
Mao Yu show. Yep, I've seen it.
Okay, so as I say, like that's another one of those shows that but unfortunately, like most people thought it was a terrible show.
Yeah, I've heard that
because it was kind of boring to a lot of people. Because it really got real heavy into everything.
I know. I watched it. I've seen it. I don't necessarily agree that it was boring per se, but yes, I would say it's not quite as good as Spice and Wolf is, but I don't know. It had its own interesting world.
I'm curious for a rating, Tori. What did you give Nodami Cantabile and Spice and Wolf?
I gave both 8s.
Seems about right. Yeah, it's about what I gave both of them.
Yeah.
I was a little bit lower on Nodame and a little bit higher on Spice and Wolf, but not much. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was between a 7 and an 8 for Nodame Cantabile, but I was just like, there's more. Let's put it this way: if Nodame Cantabile would have ended, and there was just that season, I probably would have given it a 7. But just I thought, knowing there is more, so they're just going to keep going with this.
I can tell you right now, it gets a little weird on how you're able to watch the rest of that series.
That's fine.
It's like filled with half OVAs, and then you have to watch a spin-off, and then but it's not a spin-off, it's actually part of it. I don't know. It's pretty weird.
I've seen that there's like, there's like OVAs and specials and sequels instead of series, so yeah, but still, that doesn't really bother me.
Yeah, be super sure you watch it in the right order, because I accidentally watched I watched an episode that was like actually technically 2 cores or seasons or whatever it's going by this week. By accident. I'm like, wait, this isn't right. Anyways, are you interested in now reading the light novel or getting the manga coming out on Spice and Wolf that's continuing the series?
As for Spice and Wolf, I'm not interested in the manga. No.
Any particular reason?
Interested... Not really. The only thing is kind of like if I was gonna read it, I would read the original, which then would be the light novel rather than the manga. When I go to the source of something, I tend to go to where it, what it actually originates from, not because a lot of light novel stuff has manga spin-offs and just like kind of manga adaptations as well. And
right.
I tend to avoid those just because, why read a manga when it's not based on a manga? But again, kind of the same thing. The light novel, I might check it out, but I don't read a whole lot, so I have no idea when or even if that would happen.
Fair enough. I don't know. I tried reading the light novel and surprise, surprise, reading economics when you absolutely hate the subject but like the series. I fell asleep. But then when I switched to the manga, because that's coming out and I believe it's almost caught up, that was a lot more palatable, at least for my taste.
Well, I mean, the light novel is technically also still ongoing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
It ended in volume 17. Well, ended, and then kind of just like came back.
Yeah, as long as there's any sort of ending, I'm okay with that.
It is still going on, but we cannot talk about the newer series because it's kind of a spoiler. Although I guess if you go on the internet, you see what the spoiler is. It's predictable.
Of course it is.
But yeah, it is still going on. It's a new story. Let's put it like that. With new characters.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. I think I already know. I think I might know what that is.
Yeah.
This anime series definitely screams to me it'll come back in like another 10 years from now, assuming anime still exists and it's still a thing.
I think that's safe to assume that it will, yes. What I'm curious about is whether or not it will keep going or if it will pull like a Kino's Journey type thing where it's just like remake.
Yeah,
maybe.
Not a remake, it's just a bunch of random stories that was thrown together.
Yep.
You can do that with Spice and Wolf.
I'm sure you could. But don't say it to them. Don't give them that idea. That's basically it for me. That's kind of a last note. I'm just gonna say this real quick so we can move on. And for all you pirates out there, realize this: Kiss Anime has started banning users for the use of AdBlock. So if you're somebody who still uses that site,
so ironic.
Yeah, either switch site or be aware of that, because Kiss Anime don't want you to take their money from them that they clearly deserve. For their hard work.
all that hard work and stealing shit. That is just so funny. What was the phrase you said, Tori? You said don't how dare you block our heads, or Tori, how did it go? Please tell me again.
I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. Oh my god, I know I've said a lot of shit about Kiss Anime lately. Mostly because that's kind of it's a weird move from a pirate side to make. I don't know. But yeah, it's just essentially, how dare they want to How dare I want to watch their content that they didn't make without seeing ads that give them money or something like that.
Yeah, I quite like that. I got a kick out of that. I still do, as you can see. Oh man. What's next on your quest, Tori?
Like I said, it's Eden of the East.
Eden of the
series
East.
and the movies.
I quite like those.
I heard so, yeah.
Yeah, I marked out to them pretty hard.
Then I gotta remember to hate him.
Oh, come on.
I'm joking.
JD likes this. Fuck this show. Just to burn his ass.
We'll see. I like the opening.
Alrighty.
His personal creed is fuck JD.
Yeah, well, seems yeah.
Whoa, relax.
I got a Devilman drop for that, but I won't play it. Alrighty. Moving on, guys?
Yep.
Alrighty. Okay. We are talking isekai anime. That thing everyone loves. It's the best subgenre of anime. No questions asked. No argument. Obviously. Right, guys?
You're not going to get anything to use against me in the court of law.
Okay, isekai is my type of trash, but it has to be at least average level isekai. Like, I need a protagonist that's not necessarily dickless, but also not necessarily banging everything in sight, because I'm never going to get that from anime. Unless you go back to like old anime like Blue Flames and stuff, but that guy was a dick.
Alright, so first off, I want everyone's definition of an isekai anime, from obviously worst host to best host, so I'll go first. Useless otaku shut-in that gets transported to a parallel world where his worthless skills now make him god. Brains, what is your definition?
This is a very modern definition for a retro show.
Is it? I was gonna say, should I be going with a modern definition?
Any definition you want to go with.
So
this is your definition.
Nowadays, it's an isekai anime is really an anime created by a person who has a small penis that wishes it was huge. Ooh. And really, really has grandiose fantasies that border on, well, legal insanity.
Large, small penis with large fantasy. Okay. It's awfully specific. Okay, Hickey, what is your definition?
I'm going with the normal definition, I guess. Going to another world. Not being a god, but also not being bad. Usually you have some kind of physical ability, like you were in the karate club or something like that. And just doing stuff, realizing there's something you can do, and maybe start again as a hero or something. Or a villain, that would be also acceptable.
Okay. Very simple. I don't mind.
Pretty simple, yeah.
Yeah. Tori, best host.
Yes. Well, I mean, I just go take it simple then. Like, it's basically, a neat living out his wet dream, but being too scared to do anything with it.
A neat wet dream. Okay.
That is a very good description. A neat wet dream.
See, this is why he's best host and I'm worst host, and Brains is still better than me. A neat wet dream. Did you think about that prior, Tori? I have to ask.
Like everything I do in my life, it's spur of the moment, so no.
I like your definition more than I like mine. In fact, it's much more simple and to the point. Doesn't involve insulting people.
It is a tiny dick author who wished to have a big dick, and then he has a wet dream about that.
Whoa.
There we go. That's right on the money these days.
So that's the Red Leaf Retrocast official isekai anime definition. Small penis, large fantasy becomes a wet dream.
Also, just useless knowledge. Isekai is composed for 3 kanji. I don't remember which one of them, but it just means in another world.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
But now they don't even need knowledge. Now they just bring their phone to the other. They're like, I can look up anything because I still have the internet.
Oh, we'll get there.
My brain hurts just to remember that thing.
So as you said, isekai or another world is quite a popular subgenre. It's almost its own thing now. You'd probably say, where we seem to get at least 1 or 2 new ones every season. If it's like this season, we have 6. Tori, is that what you said earlier in the cast?
I'm getting 6. I'm gonna look that up now.
Okay. So obviously, based on history, Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland are to blame for the anime trash we're put through today, right? Right?
I don't know.
No.
I like Wizard of Oz and Alice in the Wonderland. So I don't know. I don't want to blame them.
No,
So there's a
I
difference between doing it right and terrible authors who can't write anything other than a Mary Sue, Gary Stu fantasy writing isekai, and then some production committee going like, that might sell well.
There we go.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems. The problem of isekai doesn't go exactly through isekai, because I like isekai anime. And I think a lot of these trash anime we see these seasons, these days, they could be something. But the problem is, a lot of the other problems in the industry nowadays, they kind of ruin the isekai, like being highly profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Burn them at the stake.
So because of that,
Burn them at the stake.
me and Tori were talking yesterday, and we discovered that 2 contests, like 2 writing contests, banned isekai stories.
Yeah.
There are so many entries about isekai, they had to ban that type of story to have diversity.
Yep.
Because it is highly profitable.
And highly wanted. I mean, you go on anime Twitter, for example. You know, Twitter's basically become a place where you can seek out your own interests, and it becomes that once you follow the right amount of people, right? So on Twitter, anytime an isekai anime comes out every season, that seems it's one of the top 5 anime that seems to be watched, and everyone at least gives it a 7. It could be the most average trash imaginable, and they'll still give it a high score, and they'll be like, "This was great. It was easy to watch. It was easy to get into," and there's a reason why it's also easy to write. You don't need to be original in any way for it to almost write itself. At least that's the way I take it. Anybody else have any comments with that?
Nah, not really.
I mean,
Hickey?
it is definitely easy to write, because the main character doesn't need a background story. When you write a story, the main character, you usually need to make a 10-page biography. So like nothing of those 10 pages you use is past.
Right.
It's not part of the story. It's just so the author knows the character he's writing about. But an isekai character, you just need to put, he was in high school, he died, he went to another world. So that is...
He was playing a game, and the game became real.
Yeah, you can mold the character for this story. So sometimes that's why usually they're just laughing the entire time. They just smile and complain with stuff because they don't have a background. Nothing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's almost
it's
almost negated altogether, just for the other world, and then much of the anime is just spent building the world to the best of the writer's ability. That could range from absolutely wonderful to the worst thing ever. So we'll get into definitely some examples there. So some trends. Oh, go on, Brains.
I was gonna say, you know, I mean, Hickey's on point with that, really, but it's also not only just not having to write the character background, right? But it's also a reason to have exposition in your story, to tell rather than show, right? Like it's a crutch for basically a poor fantasy author that doesn't understand the show don't tell,
Right.
and through having a character that knows nothing about the world because he or she was suddenly inserted into it, they can then go like, well, here's all my exposition to tell you, you know, this is how the world runs and this and that, instead of showing the reader or the viewer, right?
Right.
Depending on how we want to approach this, whether it's the books or the manga or the anime, it's literally just it seems like more often than not that's what it's an excuse for. Is it's an excuse to use exposition ad nauseum.
Yeah, and we definitely see
Also
that
an
with
excuse.
with every with
Also
a
an
lot of
excuse
them.
to have useless characters that only serve one purpose the entire thing, which is exposition or teach something for the main character, and like something he doesn't need someone teaching him because he's probably so fucking awesome that he can learn by himself, like osmosis.
Learn via
Seriously.
osmosis. I love it. I love it. So some trends that at least I noticed from watching anime over the years, and I just wrote down a few here, was in the 80s, it was mech central and male protagonist focused. Kind of made sense at the time. And there was some isekai anime that came out, and the trend kind of shifted in the 90s and the early 2000s, where it became more fantasy-centric in where they went, and a female protagonist. I found that kind of fascinating, where it was a shift in how the protagonist changed genders, along with it being more, it almost felt more shoujo as opposed to the hard-hitting pew pew bang bang of the 80s.
Pew pew bang bang.
Yeah, you like that? Isn't that a great way to describe it?
You fucking stole my quote.
Absolutely, I loved it, Hickey. I have to use it.
Fuck off, give me credit then, you piece of shit.
You didn't give me a chance.
Oh,
Fucking
you
J-list
wasn't thinking
over
about
here.
giving me the fucking credit for that. Like, pew pew bang 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 bang. Yeah, isn't that awesome? Like, yeah, I did that. It was all music. Oh, fuck off. I'm not letting that slide.
No, I think you said that when we were discussing Dunbine at the start, right?
No, I think... What show was it? No. I don't remember. It was something you were talking about. About one show you liked, and you compared it to another show you didn't like, and one had a few exposition and it was more slow, and the other one was just guns being fired all the time. It's like, yeah, typical JD. Think? Nah. Pew 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 pew. Yes.
Well, anyways, what did you guys think of? What do you guys think of the protagonist shift in gender and how it went from action to a fantasy-oriented show?
So I think
Well,
that shift was like part of like the whole Nausicaa Ghibli shift, really. Where people saw what you could do with strong female characters. I'm not saying like Nausicaa was like the thing that started it, because I'm not sure, but I think that I just think that it's a part of, like, it's a perfect example of, okay, so we created these characters that were strong yet comforting, and we can create these characters and run with them. And then for some reason, one day they were just like, all right, well, we still have tits and ass, but we can create a good character. And then they were just like, let's drop the good character part after a certain period of time. And I think that
ass.
Yeah, we just need tits and ass, guys. That's what sells animated, you know.
And now they don't even need that. Now it's just like flat as justice and all that shit.
now you just You just need a
Like, just
character
so you know,
that
you
looks
can
like
live
a
out
woman,
your.
and then you say it's a man. That's how you sell anime.
I mean, yeah. I have a personal theory about Steins Gate where Ruka's best girl, but that's besides the point.
Okay, that specifically timeline, yes.
I mean, even
I guess
not that
that's what-
specific timeline. Let's be honest with Cody. Unless you're talking about Cody Sue, that's the only one you can really argue for best girl.
Yeah, I
that's
mean, the
not
problem is
creepy.
I play the game, and there's the one time Mr. Brown's daughter kills you, cold blood, because she thinks you killed her father. That shit was fucked up.
Oh, geez.
There's a lot of fucked up things in the game. I like
But
the game. Anyway.
but like you actually started moving to things like in the early 90s, like Magic Knight Ray Earth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fushigi Yugi, Hell Hazard. So the worlds, and then you get into like 12 Kingdoms eventually, and so like the shift in protagonists, I think, was really just a response to the fact that people were wanting to create new and interesting characters to populate these worlds with, and the kind of the genre kind of started out with just a couple of male characters in the form of Shozama and what's his name, that lieutenant from that Super Dimension show. But that's kind of like how isekai started.
Are you referring to Macross?
No, it's Orgus.
Oh, okay.
What is his name? It's
Well, anyways.
Katsuragi, Lieutenant Katsuragi. And so basically when they did that shift, it was just ripe for having interesting new and interesting characters to put into there in the form of female characters. And I think that's kind of because it wasn't super popular genre at the time.
No, I agree. I think the shift was better. I think it was. I think it enabled a lot of the writers to explore a background on the character more. It got the audience more invested. Oh, there's a Miyazaki quote out there where
Anime shit.
Anime was a
well,
mistake.
yeah, of course, that's what I was
Anime
going
was
for
a
exactly. No,
CG
it's
is a means to life itself.
no. The question posed to him was something along the lines of, why do you choose a female protagonist a lot of the time? And it's just the viewer becomes more invested with a female who has to overcome a problem rather than a male, because the female is portrayed in a viewer, or at least in a male's audience's eyes, as weaker, more interesting. They're more emotional, and I think that just translates better to the medium than just a standard male character who just wants to go out and kill things, or exposing any sort of emotion is now exposing too much weakness for the character. I don't know. It also had a lot to do with the times as well, I feel.
Or spit racial, slurs.
Oh, of course.
as you're wont to.
Yeah.
In the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So then there was another anime that came out in the mid to late 2000s, which was Sword Art Online. I think when you talk isekai, you kind of have to talk about that show now, because it definitely
Best anime ever created. Yeah.
It's the best thing ever created. It changed the game to a dude getting basically getting stuck in a game, stuck in another world. MMORPG. There's a lot of those that go hand in hand now with isekai. The whole I'm overpowered OP, and you basically get bitches, and that's kind of the trend that goes from there. It also incorporates that a lot of harem elements. It really was a dramatic shift, and we see this shift in gaming, for example, all the time, such as the battle royale genre is one thing got really popular and now everyone wants to follow suit, and Sword Art Online was that one. Brains, you mentioned perhaps Nausicaa was kind of a catalyst for a couple decades of anime kind of trying to follow suit, but I feel like in those times, it was more or less used as inspiration. This is what we could do with this idea. While SAO, everyone wants to hit the next big cash grab. What do you guys feel about how SAO did it, or isekai in general, from that time?
So, like, SAO didn't come out of nowhere, and it didn't just like become a thing, and as a result was just like, all right, look at our Gary Stu guys, time to cash in on that money. Because like really, the idea of what SAO became started with like dot hack. People liked and dot hack itself is like a whole interesting revolutionary form of the isekai genre. It was defiance but good. You know, but you had things, and while I really like Familiar of Zero, I don't think it's a great show. Familiar Zero kind of started that Gary Stu in an isekai thing. Like
I'm not saying it was first
bigger prominence.
No,
Right, but a lot of people
Familiar
act
Zero
like.
is an interesting.
Say that again.
That is right.
Say it again.
Familiar Zero is an interesting one to talk about because there's a lot of modern isekai, let's put like subgenres, and they realize that isekai can be very profitable if you use them, like having a shitload of female characters, like those kind of things. The main character, how he behaves, of course, he's not that overpowered, but he is kind of overpowered. Discovering new things, discovering new magics that were lost, something like that. And there is definitely like this sense of adventure, but they don't need to venture out in the woods or in the world to seek this adventure. In Familiar of Zero, the adventure is basically on the on the area of the school. Usually, are people attacking them. They don't need to go that far out to seek the adventure. So a lot of these things are very present in nowadays isekai. So it's a very interesting anime to bring. Props to you.
But but one of the big things with Familiar of Zero that we can take away just like by observing it is that Familiar of Zero really had the ultimate Gary Stu, right? Because it's not even like the kind of Gary Stu. Not only was the main character intelligent, but his special power in this world was if he touches a weapon of any kind, including like a tank or a fighter, he knows how to use it perfectly.
Of course.
Yeah.
So like it really kind of started the idea of what Kirito was, right? Like and I'm not saying like it's like the origination of the Gary Stu, but it's like the ultimate Gary Stu in early isekai. So a lot of people just think Sword Art Online kind of came out of a vacuum of just being a Gary Stu in a vacuum. They're like, somebody was like, oh, I want to be in a virtual world with a Gary Stu. Like, no, there was a show that prompted that idea of the Gary Stu that I'm pretty sure the young author of both Excel World and Sword Art Online saw.
Yeah, and that's kind of thing. I feel like one of the things that's important to remember as well when it came to SAO was that SAO was kind of built up to like people. You know, it obviously gets a lot of credit because it was so hugely popular, but it was kind of built up to be hugely popular like that because SAO in particular, that thing got a lot of credit, like a lot of attention, a lot of credit before it was even properly written. Ever since the author won that fucking light novel competition, that thing was just getting blown up about this super new interesting story that then eventually got turned into an anime, and everyone was going crazy about it.
And it's like everybody forgot about dot hack.
Well, no, it's dot hack. It's fun.
Hey, I like dot hack.
I haven't seen it.
The biggest lesson from SAO is not being afraid of breaking your world, just so you can like match a story you want to tell. And nowadays we also see that a lot in Isekai. But like Kirito break the game every single time. Aside from SAO, like Sword Art Online game, the other ones he plays after that, he basically go glitching and leeching and exploiting the games. So like
Is this a laser
breaks the
sword?
board, just what? Yeah, using the laser sword when he goes to offhand the first time, the game bugs and he has the Sword Art Online stats. It's like he's level 1, but he should be like level 100.
Right.
And then he has more 100 level to become more overpowered. Then he goes to Gun Gale and he discovers like the exploit of using the sword. Then he goes back to Offham and he discovers the exploit of slicing through magic with a sword. Those kind of things.
Ooh.
And then Ordinal Scale happened.
Ordinal Scale happened.
I still haven't seen that. I have seen one clip from it over and over again, though.
What clip is that?
It's a bath time clip.
Oh, that one.
Oh,
Okay.
I know which one.
Yeah.
Finally got what they wanted.
They sure did.
Yep.
I don't know what you're talking about. I wanted 16.5. I never got that.
Almost everyone got what they wanted.
Yeah.
All right, let's each name a good isekai anime you enjoy, from best host to worst. So Tori, that means you go first.
All right, then. Since I go first, and since I'm best host, I'm going to cheat and say two: ReZero and Grimgar.
Any particular reason?
Good.
The particular reason is that I enjoy both of them.
Cool.
No
Why-
real
why?
other reason than that.
From my understanding,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, from my understanding, Grimgar's books aren't that good.
Grimgar's books are
Unfortunately,
fucking terrible. The thing with the anime there is like
I
there's a
love the
lot of
anime.
care. I know there's a lot of care put into mood and whatnot. It's like kind of dealing with the loss of a loved one, stuff like that. But if you go and read those exact same things in the light novel, then just be prepared for the constant like, oh, we lost our dear friend today. Tits him, all right?
It's alright.
That's Grimgar light novel in a nutshell.
Yeah,
right there.
yeah, I've heard of that. The interesting about Gringar is, like we said, sometimes since the characters are most blank states, they are in another world. You don't need to know anything about their past life. Just like Subaru in ReZero, he was just walking, like he bought noodles and was walking home, and then he felt uneasy and he opened his eyes and he was in the fantasy world. Like, what?
Yep.
But in Gringar, you can see like there's a care about the background of the characters, even though they don't remember it. Like the guy who likes carving is always carving airplanes. Haruto knows that he used to flee a lot. He didn't like fighting, and then he points out a lot of time like I don't know how to deal with this kind of situation, because I think when I was in the other place that I can remember, I think I wasn't that kind of person. I was the guy who stayed in the sidelines. Those kind of things. It's interesting because you can see that background flourishing from time to time, which doesn't happen most of the time. And ReZero is not good.
You shut your mouth.
I'm halfway through it, and I gotta admit, so far it's average.
You guys shut your mouths. You don't know when you see.
Well, Hickey, what do you think is a good isekai anime then?
Konosuba.
Konosuba.
Definitely Konosuba.
Konosuba's well animated.
Konosuba is well animated. I've read the light novel, by the way.
Very well
I've read Konosuba light novel, so I can say that aside from the times where the author just listen to the readers and do dumb shit,
Which is all the time.
it is very very good. Kazuma is not overpowered because he decided to bring Gakpo with him, and she's useless. But his power, the powers he has, the strength he has, he got the strength by actually working on construction through like 6 months. The six first months of the light novel is just jump forward because he was just working like a normal guy. And when he goes to this world for the first time, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a hero," and he got stuck just building walls and sleeping on his table.
I became a
Also
level
masturbating
3
from
masonry.
He's an adventurer. He's not powerful in any way, but he's smart and a piece of shit. So like those are those are his powers. Very interesting. It is a very interesting world, very interesting characters. It jokes about the isekai genre, and it makes it well. The jokes work most of the time, aside when they are rapey. You know what? It's fine as well.
I agree, Hickey. I quite liked Konosuba. I didn't come across it until I think like a couple of years after it first come out, and then I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. A lot of people seem to like it, and I go, this is hysterical.
It also has a ridiculously long name and was like one of those first anime that came out with the ridiculously long name.
Typical light novels.
So, Konosubarashi Shifuku Fuku.
This is a book. Have you read? You should open it.
It is interesting also in the light novel that time goes by. So like when Kazuma first arrives, he's like 16. I think he's 20 now, 20 or 21.
He's fucking.
So like he progresses as a character, as a person, which is very cool.
And Aqua is still useless.
And Aqua is still useless, no matter how much.
But you don't
time
understand.
passes.
She's maxed out in every stat, minus intelligence.
Minus intelligence.
I do like the facial expressions in that anime. They're very animated, you might say.
Yep. Classic Disney.
I like the masturbation innuendos in the fucking light novel. It's amazing. It's like there's this one episode with the succubus.
Uh-huh.
And in the light novel, like after that, it is implied that Kazuma kept going on the fucking shop and used the succubus to fantasize about having sex. He had sex with the succubus, fantasizing he was having sex with every single girl he met, except for Aqua, because he thinks Aqua is like a dog. Because he's like, yeah, no, I'm not into that, so I'm not Aqua. Everyone but Aqua.
Oh, that's funny. Brains. Your turn.
Yes.
You're up, sir.
So was it best anime or best isekai or favorite isekai?
Just what you think is a good one that's probably also your favorite.
All right. So I'm gonna say two because I'm gonna tell you my favorite after I tell you what I think one of the better ones is.
Fair enough.
12 Kingdoms is probably one of the best isekai out there, honestly.
Yeah, you're not getting an argument out of me.
It's good. It's steeped in all sorts of fun lore and world building, and the novels are ridiculous from my understanding. So unfortunately that show didn't see any additional seasons.
Still 50 episodes though.
Yeah. And it's good. And it has a very strong female character in it. Or she becomes a very strong female character, which is actually like the best part of the show.
Yeah.
But if I have to tell you what I think is one of my most favorites and one that I recommend to like almost everybody when they're like, I just want something that's an isekai that I can have fun with, and that is, and only can be, one show, and that is Those Who Hunt Elves.
What is that? I'm not familiar with that one at all.
I've heard of that one.
So basically,
hunt
a tank. What is it? It's a tank, a military otaku,
1996
actress, and a karate master get transported to another world through a spell conducted by these elves, and it's like a T-74 Soviet tank, by the way. And it's
what kind of tank?
I think it's or not T7, not T. It's not Soviet. It's a Type 74 tank.
Oh my god, this sounds like Golden Kamuy Isekai. Reading it right now.
Yeah, so basically what happens is like there's the spell that brings them from another world, and all these runes get transported. Like something weird. I can't remember what exactly happened to the spell because I've watched this a few times, but like that's kind of germane to the whole point. Is basically the spell breaks apart, and all the parts of the spell land on the bodies of female elves because there's a female elf who cast the spell. So they have to run around stripping female elves so they can find the part of the spell and return home.
Aha.
And they're in a fantasy world, a medieval world with a tank.
Soviet tank, by the way.
It is a T-74 Soviet?
Yeah, it's a T-74.
Okay.
It's very
All
important.
This looks so.
It is.
This looks so dumb. I might actually enjoy that so much. I know what I'm doing when we're done here.
You know what? Same, basically. I've heard of that show, but I've never, every time I see it, it's just like, no, that sounds so dumb. And I've seen the opening, it's just like, this is dumb.
So I've written this one down. This is.
Do you want to binge watch it when we're done?
No.
It's got 2 seasons.
Oh my god.
It's fun. It's fun. It's got 2 seasons, about like 24 or 25 episodes, and it's.
Oh, you're not even joking.
It's no, and it's an ecchi isekai that is just.
Say no more.
It's fun.
There we go. Plan to watch.
This might be a future podcast episode, guys.
Great.
Let's see. So season 1 has 12 episodes. And season 2 has another 12.
That's 24.
So that sounds like 24 episodes of tanks in another world with hot elf chicks.
Well,
yep.
Are they hot?
So many hot. So many.
I assume they're hot.
So many.
Well, that's where you go wrong. Sometimes they're not hot. Then you sit there, it's like, whoa, this isn't fun.
Wait, you prefer your elf chicks ugly?
No, I said sometimes they're not hot, and then it's not fun.
I got you. I wasn't listening close enough, apparently. Like an asshole.
Of course. Take half of what someone says and then use it against them. My God.
I mean, isn't that the politician's trick handbook?
Yeah.
I mean, you just described my job, so I'm not sure.
That is true. That is true.
Do you like young girls? No, I don't like young girls. You said you like young girls.
Oh, dude,
I never said that. Here's an audio clip of you saying that. See, that doesn't represent who I am now.
Like after I passed the fucking lawyer's order test, one of my friends who likes lollies just called me like, "Hello, my lawyer's," like, "Oh my fucking god, tell me they didn't find anything with you. You're already calling me a lawyer. I knows you have something on you. Please don't say they found child porn with you or something."
Yeah, it's one of those hentai that have come out recently, like a size 8 classmate.
Everything about that title sounds like something we should watch.
Hell, no.
Like terrible.
Well, a good isekai that I enjoy is Vision of Escaflowne. I bring it up quite a lot, and it's from the 90s, when almost any anime was a couldn't miss at the time, seemingly, and it's a female protagonist who's transported to a fantasy world, and there also happens to be giant robots as well. So it kind of goes into Dunbine-esque type situation there. But world's well built, good action scenes, good relationships built all around, and it's one of the few shoujo shows that I actually really enjoy. It's definitely one of the better isekai animes out there, I think, unless you guys disagree.
See, here's how you don't sell a show to someone. When you say it's kind of similar to Dunbine in that regard.
Well, I mean, in its roots, yeah.
And still, that's like immediate
heavily.
red flags.
So, well, no, it shouldn't actually give you red flags because the creator of Escaflowne is Shoji Kawamori, who, if you guys didn't know, created a fan magazine for Gundam called Gunsight 1 when he was in college. So he came out and made Macross, a real robot show that was heavily influenced by Gundam and the fact that real robots existed and and telling a story. And so since he was a big fan of Tomino, he obviously watched Aura Battler Dunbine, which had, as we know, had mechs made a lot that were basically made out of things from the world, right? Like creatures, large beasts. And that kind of idea is carried forward in the Escaflowne itself. However, Escaflowne has like a lot of benefits in the fact that it has about 20 years, or not 20 years, about 10 years of learning of how to craft a fantasy story,
right?
Like an isekai, and also has the benefit of all of Tomino's books, the Tales of Beist and Well, to build off of, and as well as the other isekai that came out before it. And Shoji Kawamori, having met his success basically writing female characters, right? Went on to basically create Escaflowne, and so luckily also happened to get a hold of Yoko Kanno to do the soundtrack for it.
That soundtrack's ridiculous.
Like Dance
So
of the
good.
Curse is like one of the most iconic songs in anime. If you were to play Dance of Curse at an anime con, I think a lot of people might not, they'll recognize it if they don't necessarily know what the name of it is or where it's from.
Right.
But I don't know how you wouldn't know where it's what anime it's from, because it says the anime title in the song, so over and over and over and over again.
You underestimate how little people pay attention.
There you go.
That's true.
Tori speaks the truth. So I just got some notable other isekai anime listed here, and just go through them real quick. No Game, No Life, where a movie came out last year. ReZero, which was mentioned. Konosuba, which was mentioned, which is seemingly ongoing. Overlord, 3rd season's out right now, coming out. Log Horizon.
Yeah.
That's database.
Yeah.
Living in the database. Actually, Log Horizon's actually a really neat one to point out.
Okay.
Because Log Horizon actually has an interesting mechanic built into the world that they don't really. I don't think they really get into that well in the first season, and only kind of get into later, is that the death isn't permanent in their world, but to their knowledge, right? At least in the anime, because I haven't read the additional material. But what does happen is loss of memory, and I think that alone should convince a lot of people to give that Log Horizon a try, definitely over like SAO, if you liked the kind of
game
the
stuff,
feel of that.
Yeah. The sad thing about Log Horizon, though, that is kind of just it won't or at least for now it won't continue, and that is also related to the fact that the author of Log Horizon was arrested for tax fraud. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the worst thing. Meanwhile, we got other ones committing what is it, child pornography rings or whatever it's called.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what they say, right? You can do whatever you want and kind of just get a smack on the finger. But the moment you do something you take from the government, well, you fucked up.
So Hickey, what we're gonna need you to do now that you're a lawyer is go get that author out of jail.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, I mean, he can keep writing on the prison. I don't know who's gonna smuggle some pencils for him, but you can definitely do that. You have the holes in your body to do that.
I was gonna say the old prison wallet. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm not smuggling anything for him. I don't give a shit. I need to buy the novels.
You have the stuff, yeah.
But I need to buy the novels. They are available in my country, but I'm too lazy to get out of my house to buy the deal to get them.
That's where you use Amazon in the U.S.
I can use it, but like I don't like using credit cards. Such as
Fair
it
enough.
is.
But
Like Log Horizon is an interesting one. They explained the mechanic of losing memory because in the game, if you die, the penalty is losing experience. And what is experience for us? It's memories. It's like, oh.
and that it's really cool, and I think that it kind of, I think a lot of people overlook Log Horizon because they're like SAO because it
Right.
has such a hypeness in the fan
Yeah,
base
yeah.
that they forget that Log Horizon did the same concept but better.
Yeah, there's a lot of things Log Horizon do better, especially with the children who are playing the game.
Yeah.
Because like in SAO, it's just like, oh, we have children, protect them. And in Log Horizon, it's like they are growing used to this gaming world, like this fantasy world.
Mhm.
So it is very interesting to see the side of the children. They make sure to show you. There's a lot of more politics going on, and the world mechanic is also interesting because when they say that the distances are short, but during the show they are becoming as like the same as the real world. Then you have the artificial tombstone thing, and people start becoming zombies and shit. That thing, there's a lot of interesting things.
Yeah. I think it's definitely a standout. The gaming the gaming isekai genre is kind of a weird thing because like I almost don't count it in isekai, right? Because like when I think isekai, I think Or Battler, Dunbine, Magic Knight, Ray Earth, Escaflowne thing. Like you're transported to a fantasy world, like being
It's more
trapped
fantasy.
or transported into a video game. Yeah,
Like
being
more
transported into a
fantasy,
video
more,
game seems,
how can I put that? More physical.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, JD, go ahead.
Continue on, JD.
Alrighty. So Sword Art Online, naturally, spin-off season was in spring. Then there's Inuyasha, a very long series, 12 Kingdoms. And one that I don't think a lot of people talk about is Now and Then, Here and There. A very mature isekai anime, that's for sure. Not sure how familiar you guys are with that.
I've heard about it.
So-
I plan to watch it.
I'm a huge fan of Now and Then, Here and There. The only reason I didn't say it was like the best isekai is because I don't think you can say Madoka Magica is the best. You can never say Madoka Magica is the best
Magical Girl?
magical girl. You can never say that Evangelion is the best mecha. You can never say that Selector Infected Wixos is the best card game anime. You can never say that all these anime are basically the best because what they are, Now and Then, Here and There being one of these, is it's a deconstruction.
Right.
It's a deconstruction of the genre. And while it does make it a fantastic show because like that show is dark, it is gritty, it is very, very realistic in the way it handles this concept of being transported to another world. At the end of the day, a deconstruction is a separate thing, right? Like it is not the genre itself, it is the exception in the genre. It is to say, hey, listen, these are all these dumb things you guys think about. Like, oh, I wonder what would happen if I got into a fight with real bandits in another world. Well, they probably do some terrible things to you, which they then in turn in that show really do. That show is very, very unsettling for quite a few people, and I think that's a important aspect with that show.
Yeah. No, I'm of a like mind on that opinion for sure. I quite enjoy the show, but yeah, it has elements and scenes in it that people may not be able to handle. But
Yeah.
I'd rather have a show do something like that than just a group of 5 women join Gary Sue character.
JD,
What's
just
up?
real quick. Drag Hickey back in. He got disconnected.
You know.
Yeah.
Well then.
I was trying to just keep the reason I kind of went to a rapid pace is I assumed you had seen that. We're just gonna pull it back.
Done. Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I pressed the button by accident. I was just grabbing my phone. I was like, oh fuck no. I fucked up so bad. Oh no.
That's
Anyway,
okay.
what are you guys talking about?
Now and then, here and there.
All right. So then there are some isekai that hurt in some way or another, and I put 3 here, and people like them, but these were a couple that came to mind. In Another World with My Smartphone, Death March to the Parallel World Rhapsody, and sorry brains, but Dot Hack made the list.
See, I don't know how Dot Hack made the list.
It's boring.
Because,
A lot of whining, a lot of useless dialogue.
Are we talking about the original Dot Hack, or are we talking
Yes.
about like?
Yeah, the original.
Yeah, the first one, Dot Hack. The first Dot Hack. They keep going out to just seek the kind of the main character, but he doesn't want to be with the other people, and then he realizes he's special. Has some maniac points, but then it gets better. The problem are like first 10 or 12 episodes.
But they're so hard to get through. I've tried to watch this show 4 separate occasions and just fall asleep every time. It is like anime Benadryl. To me.
But like,
To me.
It's not
To
making
me.
itself like justice because it's in the same list as Death March and Smartphone.
No, it's not as bad as those.
Yeah, no. It's between the good ones and the bad ones. It's like right in the middle. You need to go past the boring part, but after you're done, it is interesting. You get interested in the series and then watch the rest of Dot Hack and maybe play the games if you.
I was gonna say that's what dragged me into Dot Hack and kept me into Dot Hack was I played all the Dot Hack games with the show, like because like
Yeah.
I think that's I think that's an interesting thing about the idea of the show, right? Like you're supposed to watch the show and play the games as you watch the show, because it expands on the world for you, and on the story.
Definitely. It's not the Antichrist like Smartphone.
Back when you were in like high school, like when I was doing this, like I was in high school, middle school, high school, somewhere in there. And it was fun because me and my co-host Bullets, we'd be sitting there watching the TV show and playing the game. Like we'd both be playing the game on our separate PS2s, and then on a third TV right in between us, we'd have Dot Hack playing and like watching episodes, and then going back and playing the games.
That is a very cool story. Really
and
cool.
It's just
Unfortunately,
it's just...
I didn't have friends, so like.
The show would have been so much better if I had friends.
When I watched it, I was in second year of high school, so that was 2012, and it is very hard to find a working Dot Hack to play.
Yeah, right. And I was playing it back when the PlayStation 2 was still like the new thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
it was or a newer thing, and it was. I think that it was very interesting. I think that Defiance, if you guys haven't heard of it, it's an American TV show that was created by Sci-Fi.
Yeah, I was into that show.
Defiance was a terrible attempt to basically do the same thing that Dot Hack did with those games.
There's a reason why it was canceled.
Yeah, that MMO was terrible.
No, the game was awful.
And like supposedly the things you did in the game would influence the show, but they didn't really. And like that's what they tried to like sell it on. And so everybody was like after the first time
2000s promises, yes.
Yeah. So
Ambitious show. Ambitious so, that's for sure.
It was ambitious, but like Dot Hack, at least Dot Hack did it from a different angle, of course, right? Like what you do does not affect the the course of the anime in the game, right? Because like there's not a way for that to happen. But it was I can't think of another game like a hybrid game anime project like that that benefited from it. I think
Xeno Xenosaga? The
did it really
Xenosaga
benefit
series?
from that though?
Well, that was more of a cinematic take.
I was gonna say the games were better.
They got better.
They
I can
Well,
only think
anyways,
about Valkyria Chronicles.
getting a little off topic on that, but
yeah.
so it's important to notice that a lot of these shows, especially in terms of isekai, they don't have an end. They come from a light novel source, and they'll probably never finish the adaptation as an anime. So that's something that I notice with a lot of these. It's a bad trend. I don't like it as an anime fan, because then you have to go out of your way to buy another medium that you may or may not be into, and that's spending a lot more money on a different source. But I get the marketing behind it.
Yeah, I mean, besides, it's but that doesn't even just happen with like isekai stuff and light novel stuff. It is kind of just how the market works now. It's like people want to profit on something that is popular right then and there.
Right, yeah.
But it might not be popular in another 2 years, right? So it's like you make this anime, you make your money, and then it's like, great. I was like, oh yeah, the manga or the light novel is kind of going downhill. It's like, well, that's it, then on to the next one.
But I mean, it's like the Moe epidemic, right? Like the Moe epidemic started because K-On! Was successful, really.
Moe is not an epidemic anymore. It's a basic pillar of anime nowadays. Well, I mean,
that's kind of like it's always been the same. It's kind of like we discussed, like back in '80s, it was the mechs. Like you couldn't make a show that wasn't mech or set in space or something. That was just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Do you want to fail?
You can definitely see the trend. It is a question of where to go next, basically. When it comes to light novel and manga, you have the popular thing, but then again, isekai is popular. Then you start banning it from contests because there was too many isekai stories. Now, what is the next phase? One of them, Overlord, and this isn't like how to not summon a Demon Lord. The spin they put was, let's make a villain.
Yeah.
Now you have shows like The Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime, which is also a spin to the isekai genre.
Things are getting weird,
that's
guys.
Gonna keep going, just like Idol anime that fucked up my World Witches project, which I like so much. Anyway.
Isn't there another one
still
coming out where like the main character becomes a spider or something?
Probably.
There's one called I Am a Spider, So I'm a Spider, So What? But I don't know if it's an isekai.
Okay.
Because I didn't look it up, but I saw the name.
Yeah.
You have also Hatarakao Mao-sama, which is let's put like a reverse isekai, where the Demon Lord comes to our world and start working in a McDonald's.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't work in a McDonald's. He works at McRonald's.
Very, very important there.
Yeah.
Very important distinction there, and they don't sell hamburgers. They sell fuck it.
They sell
What is black pepper fries?
Yeah, just weird shit.
Yeah, so like it is a spin into the genre, but it is still popular. The next thing is seeing where it's going and how people want to push it.
Yeah.
Until they realize being reincarnated as a slime is not that good of idea.
Yeah.
But anyway.
One of the things that I find really interesting as well with light novels now is because like I've seen a couple of interviews and whatnot with light novel authors, and the amount of light novel authors that are kind of on board with the fans that say they're kind of tired of the whole isekai thing. There's quite a lot. I don't think a lot of people that made as light novel authors at this point aren't really that interested in making another isekai. But one of the things that I find very interesting as well is that there seems to be some that are trying to make more pure fantasy. more recently. I know like one notable like light novel that is more pure fantasy, like Goblin Slayer, for example. It's like
Yeah, Goblin Slayer is awesome.
Yeah, so that's one thing that I'm really interested to see if like light novel is gonna make that shift eventually, especially if something like Goblin Slayer does well. If it will make that shift to more like traditional fantasy, or if it will just find something completely different.
The problem with light novels is the fact it is the face of the capitalism. Let's put it like that. The problem is not the trend. Like I said before, I like isekai. There's also Jietai, by the way, the Japanese self-defense force for there. That is also an isekai. I'm just remember random anime just spilling out. Anyway, the problem is not the isekai. The problem is the demand. There's a high demand, so they're gonna get the guy who wants to write a light novel but doesn't have this lightest idea of how to write, and say, okay, we can sell it. It's not if it's good or if it's bad. It's we can sell it and put it out as much as isekai you can, and then make an anime so you can sell more of that light novel and keep going. The higher the demand, the higher the more light novels of that type they need. If the people buying the light novel accept X quality, they're gonna focus on getting X quality light novels, the most like the biggest numbers they can out. So like that is the problem. There was a problem like that in the mangas, like in the 90s. You have like one manga that is very popular, then you see a bunch of the same sprouting out, but then light novel took that place, and now manga is more reserved, and you can see more variety of manga. So it's not about making the shift, it's about getting the quality up.
Yeah, no, I know, but I mean, even still, kind of seeing trends change is also very interesting. And besides, kind of like
it'll be
just like what Spice and Wolf told us. When the demand is high, when there are more buyers than there are sellers, the price goes up, and when there are more sellers than there are buyers, the price go down. And you know, we're eventually we're obviously going to hit that point with isekai as well, where there is just way more isekai than anyone could ever stomach, and not just way more isekai, way more of literally the exact same isekai that you're sitting there watching two shows back to back, and you're like, wait, didn't I just see this? I swear I just watched this episode.
Right. And then you're gonna move to pure fantasy, which is very close to what isekai aims at.
Yeah.
Well, so isekai, I think, really is very contingent on the human idea that is escapism, right?
Of course.
And for a long time, fantasy allowed that, and then fantasy went by the wayside to the isekai because it was like, well, instead of imagining I'm Aragorn or Boromir or something, I get to I get to imagine I'm just myself in that world, and I can do this cool thing. And I think that isekai really was the epitome of like the idea that people watch and consume media in general, consume media to escape their reality. Not even necessarily always in a bad way, but as our political climate becomes more tumultuous, and in reality seems even more tumultuous than probably it ever was, because we are so heavily interconnected, there are so many demands on our time. The idea of escaping that and becoming and going to a fantasy world, I think, is what is propelling isekai on so long.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe I'm just weird, but I definitely agree with that. Like, there's a certain level of escapism, but maybe I'm just weird. But when I think of stories and I think of my escapism into them and my escapism into anime, I don't really want to bring myself in there. It's like, I kind of, one of the things I also want to escape is me.
Right.
Not just my world.
Suicide watch list.
Yeah,
no, I guess. That is the problem. I guess we like things with a little bit of thought behind. Like I don't want to be the main character of anything. But I guess like the biggest problem, like you said, is that isekai is becoming this way of releasing serotonin. Basically,
Mhm.
it is working just like a drug. You're not watching it because you want to watch. You watch it because it's a way so you can feel good compared to your miserable everyday life, I guess. And it started becoming escapism, and just like any kind of substance that affects your psyche. And so it becomes very, very popular. The problem, I guess, like I said, is quality. People are buying shitty drugs. They should aim to high quality drug if they want to do this.
People are buying crocodile. Got it.
Crocodile, Jesus Christ, Tori.
I mean,
synthetic heroin. Well, no, and you're certainly right, and we can also see the kind of the fatigue with the genre. And what was the name of that show? It was something. It had a really long light novel name, so you guys might know it, you might not. But it was like, I was going to be a hero, but then the war ended, so now I work as like a regular person or something like that.
I was going to become a hero, so I was going to become a hero, but I reluctantly took a job or something along those lines.
Yeah. And like you can kind of see that fatigue there, right? Like where people are like, "Yo,
yeah.
I don't want to be
people are trying to get like a fresh air to the genre. Like I said, like this one, I was gonna be a hero, but the war ended, so I'm just here now with a job. And then you have the time I got reincarnated as a slime. Those kind of things will pop out eventually. Of course they will, because are people trying to find the next fresh air in the isekai? The problem is they are not good enough to think about a fresh air, and then you see those kind of things, which is basically the same thing with a new clothing.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, I just need more things like Death Note and Monster, where like we really like have a legitimate villain. Like I just want a character that really isn't likable, but that you root for only because you're following them, right? Like
You became a follower.
That's what I need in isekai.
You were enchanted by them. Like, goddamn.
You're like, Light's wrong, but he's not necessarily wrong.
He starts in the right place. He's murdering many people for no reason. Yeah, but like, come on.
And L can't catch him, and like I don't necessarily want L to die, but if I have to choose,
and he did, and then it's like, and his copies are coming out, and it's just no.
or yeah, and then in like the case of Monster, it's just like we realize that there is no good guy in this show.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Getting us back on topic here. Do we have any final thoughts on isekai anime before we move on to our review?
Isekai's bad.
Isekai is not the problem. The problem are the circumstances surrounding the isekai.
Brains?
Isekai is a genre that's languished under failed fantasy authors, and I know that might seem a little too like harsh to say, but I think that really is the case. I wholeheartedly believe that isekai started out with people that were trying to branch out into fantasy from what they currently wrote, and then became people that thought they could write a fantasy world but had no idea of how to write it, so they put a character from our world into it. And I think that the genre itself has suffered from that. And honestly, I think when Sword Art Online was created, it was created by a 16-year-old, if I remember how old he was. And
sounds about right. I mean, it had a good. It's a good example of a show having a good idea, an intriguing premise, and then totally tailoring off into something that nobody wanted.
And you can forget, like, you can forgive the high school fantasies because it's a 16-year-old.
Yeah. But also, just not to make it seem like the age of the author is the only thing that matters. Also, the author of One Piece has basically been writing One Piece since he was in fucking primary school, even before that.
And it's the best anime of all time.
No.
That can be discussed.
It does qualify.
People sure like it. People sure fucking love that thing.
Let's discuss this first season of One Piece.
Oh god.
No.
Let me tell you my thoughts on the first season. It's a little rough.
It takes a little bit to get into, for sure. Boy, but once you get past those first 300 episodes, let me tell you, it really gets going.
once Stockholm Syndrome finally kicks
well, it only took 14 episodes for that to kick in for Black Clover.
Well, but you have shit taste. Let's be honest.
Well, that's why I'm worst host. I'm really embracing it.
Yeah, being realist. Black Clover is not good.
No. No. And I've watched 15 episodes of it now. I was like, a bunch of people were like, come on, just give it a try.
Give it a try, Brands.
I gave it a try. I gave it 3 episodes.
I'm shocked you lasted that long, Tori.
And then I gave
I was
up,
going
and
to
then
give
they
it
were
a
like,
try. I was going to watch everything, but then I saw it was like 50 episodes. Like, nope. No, I'm cool. I'm giving up on Black Clover.
Yeah. I usually stay away from those shows that last episode because the last time or the time before I tried it with Black Clover, I tried it with
Drinking gin?
No, it was like
Drinking rubbish alcohol?
Regalia? No. Regalia, fucking I don't remember, Twin Star Exorcist, that was the one.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And then before that, you had oh my god, I can't even remember the name of that one.
Well, anyways,
yeah, just move on.
Let's move on. I shall play this quick drop here, and we can keep going. Let's see, where is it? There it is.
Now, it's time we start dealing with the business at hand.
Okay. Brains, this was your brainchild. It is Aura Battler Dunbine, an anime I've wanted to watch for years and years now. Being a total mech and fantasy mark that I am, and this was sure interesting. It's an anime that spans 49 episodes. It ran from February 5th, 1983 to January 1st, 1984. It's by Studio Sunrise, and it's an original and directed by Tomino, the same fantastical dude that brought us Gundam and Space Runaway Ideon. The latter is very much less popular and probably less known, but it came before Dunbine. That is important to note for later.
And also worse.
Right. It was canceled for a reason.
Yes.
So the plot goes around something like this, and I took this from Anime Planet. Shozama, an up-and-coming motorcycle racer, has been whisked away to the world between shore and sea, Byston Well. The world of Byston Well closely resembles medieval Europe, with one exception. It contains giant robots called Aura Battlers, which are insect-like. Also important for later. Brought to this world by the power of the hungry Drake Luft, because he possesses the rare gift of Aura. Sho is forced to fight in a war between two warring nations. As an Aura Battler pilot, can Sho find a way home? And what of the continually expanding conflict? And the continually expanding conflict is definitely the theme from there on.
It said rare. Ha! Rare.
Come on, Tori, not right now.
That's not the, and that's the messed up thing about like that description from there, right? Is whoever wrote that description obviously didn't pay attention to the show, because they literally explain what Aura is like episode 1 or 2.
I think it was 2. They finally went, this is Aura. And everyone has it. Everyone has the potential.
It's just people from Upper Earth have more, and Sho has a lot. Probably because he's Japanese and warrior culture.
And then Marvel has none, because, well, we can't have multiple people on one team.
Useless, like 3/4 of the fucking cast. Yes.
So before I figure we do something along the line of this. I would like us to name our pros and cons of the series, and starting off with the positives. And we'll start off with you, Brains. What do you think are the pros of the series? And we can kind of build off each other from there.
So the pros of the series are the fact that Byston Well is actually as a world, because this is where the show takes place, as a world and a concept is very, very, very interesting. I think if you look at all the things that could have influenced Tamino to create Byston Well, like simply it being a world between the sea and the shore isn't even just the thing. It's a sanctuary for our souls before we are born into the world, right? The ideas of the Fiorine and how they interact with the world through the oral road and everything are fascinating. So as a world, or a battler, Dunbine probably has one of the most interesting worlds created. And I think that, from my understanding, it gets fleshed out a lot more in those novels, which we probably will never see over here, or maybe they're over here and I'm just not aware of it.
I'm sure there's fans translations.
I'm sure there probably are. There are probably scanlations, but there are a lot of the mecha designs are actually very, very unique and interesting. The idea that they're built from the scraps of monsters in the world is fascinating. The attention put to the idea of this of the reaction of Upper Earth people to Byston Well and the Aura Battlers, I think is very important. We see all too many times in anime nowadays where they're like, "Hey guys, there's a giant robot here," and the army doesn't show up. Nobody freaks out about it. Nobody in the world, like, they're like, "Ooh, look at that!" Like, nobody's like, "Holy crap, you have mechs!" You know. So it's a very, very important thing to recognize with the series. I think is the reactions of the character bases to everything. I'll kind of stop there because I could go on for a while.
Fair enough. Hickey?
The story is very cohesive and tries to be logical. They certainly try to explain to you everything that is going on, the development of the war, the development of Max. They really try, and you need to appreciate that because it makes a lot of things easier on you. That's it.
Corey?
Yeah.
I know you have a lot to say about this, but let's stick to the positives for now.
The obvious joke about it ended. Well, no. Other than that, there's an interesting aspect. I do agree. Like the world of Byston Well, it could have been interesting, but I feel like it is mostly left uninteresting. But like the transition to to Upper Earth, kind of, and back to that, and bringing kind of the war and destruction with them to Upper Earth. I thought that was kind of interesting, and seeing how the governing forces of Upper Earth now respond to this and have to deal with it. Then they were nice enough to also show my home country of Norway. So, yay! I wish they knew that we didn't have a president though. But I'm not going to be too harsh on that.
Yeah, I got a kick out of that too later in the series. I'm like, oh, they're in Norway. President, you say? Okay.
I don't know about that.
Yes, the Chancellor of America will be right there with them.
They also got it perfectly right when we're like, well, oh, they're Norwegian Vikings. They're so brave. They're willing to sacrifice their capital. Well, yeah, always. We will always be willing to sacrifice our capital. Fucking give us a reason, please.
Give us a reason, he says. Any reason.
Yeah?
Like a pack of gum. All right, we're good.
There you go, take it.
Norway hasn't made it to the World Cup in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, all right, fair enough. We'll do it this year.
no faith.
Yeah, well, that's basically it for me.
I quite liked the mech designs as well. I can't think of a series that went or even has gone outside of the realm of just being a robot that looks like a machine. This was very insect-like. The using the world building to how people went about their lives, how cities were built. They made sense to the areas in which the world, as they traveled through the world, you saw different structural designs. The mech designs were different depending on where they were. It wasn't just black against white. What comes to mind is Xeon against the Federation. It was this design versus this design. Every single town, village, kingdom in Byston Well had different designs. They even went as far as, at times, I noticed, of different ways of even speaking to each other. They definitely kept that mentality of characters true to where the people came from, I feel. Now, it did get a little ridiculous at times. That's just one way or another. Things happen, I suppose. And even there was so much culture brought into it. Yeah, it was more or less down to stereotypes a lot of the times. I do wish they would have fleshed them out more as characters instead of focusing on mech battles. But Bandai kind of got their mitts in it. But like Shozama having more aura power than the others because he's Japanese. And what do you associate a Japanese type person? Well, they have hardcore samurai ability, a lot of self-respect, so to say. That's that fighting spirit. And then you have an American who is angry all the time, and that affects how his aura is. And I found that very fascinating, and it definitely stuck with that theme from the start to finish. It never just all of a sudden changed that. Those were some of the things I really liked about the show, and I feel like it did a good job in that sense. But with positives, there are negatives, and being that this is an anime from 1983, and there's going to be some shortcomings. But Brains, why don't we start with you for what some of the cons are that you have with Dunbine here?
So one that's kind of a joke, but also kind of serious. That's a con. Don't watch any of the other associated anime. There's actually a lot of cons. To Aura Battler, Dunbine, unfortunately, and some of them are beyond Aura Battler's control.
Right.
Sentai licensed the series, and I think way before that it was ADV. And when they licensed it, there were these very, very terrible subs that were created, like where instead of Chum Foul, it was Chum Full.
Yeah.
And some very, very just unfortunate, like Neil Gibbons instead of,
Neil Givens.
Knee Given. It's actually technically Knee Given or Neil Given, right?
Yeah.
Like, which is how they pronounce it in the dub, right? But and it's or it's Cham Wow. Cham Wow, I think is how you say it. Kind of like Sham Wow, but like but like so
it soaks up all the water.
Right. Certainly a negative. It also falls into like some of the trap that Gundam did, which is the revolving villains.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did a very interesting job with characterizing so many of the characters, but I think that, like a lot of Tomino's early works, the interesting characters just weren't given enough time to be interesting. Things were moving at a frenetic pace, and they needed to keep things moving. some other cons I think to the show is, like I said, Byston, you're actually kind of left as a viewer to figure out Byston well, rather than be told what Byston well is, which I think is a good writing technique. It is show, don't tell. But I think they needed to tell us just a little bit more, to make it a little more obvious what things were. Like, for instance, aura, right? Like, the whole reason people from Upper Earth are stronger in aura is because aura is life energy, and the people from Byston Well are essentially just souls. And the people from Earth are actually living beings, like Upper Earth are living beings,
right?
And that's why they're stronger. That's something they don't like outright explain. They just leave you to kind of figure that out, because they're like, well, the people from Upper Earth have more life energy, and than the people in Byston Well, and then they're like, but it's a sanctuary for the souls and lost memories, and so you're just left to piece that together. I think it being one of the first isekai, it was trying. But there, of course, is the cringiness that is the naming that Tomino does. Like I said, like I think a lot of the negatives are kind of trapped or steeped in like the early Tomino things, and really Tomino's stuff. Like, I'm not saying Tomino's a bad writer, but he makes questionable choices. Like, the Zaku pilots from Gundam were the first two that you meet are Jean and Denim. And one of the characters that you meet early on in the show is Keen Kiss.
Right.
So I think that's a lot of the negatives. Some of the animation isn't great, but I think it's more product of the times. I think if you look at the original Gundam,
I'll get that when it's my turn.
But yeah, it's kind of like, that's what I've got. I thought I had something better, but I think that's all I got, really.
Icky, do tell.
Well, first of all, they definitely should have told show what was going on at the beginning of the series. Most of the problems they come from two things. Most of the characters are useless, and thus also most of the female characters are just dead weights. And everyone in a position of power, like the commanders, are incompetent. Highly, highly, highly incompetent. And they keep making questionable choices. So like, because of that, a lot of problems with the story appears, in my opinion. Like the defend the castle strategy. Keep making new models instead of focusing on the one that works. Look, Drake-Luft Empire at the end, before they go to Upper Earth, is so thin, like it's so big. The defenses are thin, and they show in the show in the series that you can go from where the main battleship of New Given is to the first castle of Drake-Luft in a day. So like, why not you go and attack where the defense is lower, like in the middle of the empire or at the beginning of the empire, or do random attacks? They don't do that. They just like, let's face a army that is 3 times bigger than us, heads on. And then you have like, let's save Emily. They tried twice. They failed twice, and she just escaped by her own twice. Like those kind of things. And then like, show finally will save the Eferario that is stuck in Drake's castle, and then like, no, but I'm gonna. Then the mother comes with Emily and say, if you don't go away, I'm just gonna kill her. And he's like, God fucking damn it, she got me, and then he leaves. Like, then you have Marvel, which is also useless, a dead weight. The only female character that is not a dead weight is Garalia, but she dies and no one cares. And Kin go from being just a girl to a fighter pilot to a mecha pilot. Like, she actually has a little bit of development. Marvel, don't do anything. Never.
She took over.
Then you have
Dunbine.
Todd. Todd doesn't give a shit. You have the Russian guy. You have the Russian guy at the beginning who came to Well with Todd and Shaw, but he disappears. So I don't know what happens to him.
No, he died. He died. You see
He
him
died?
die. Like,
Oh.
yeah, Marvel killed him.
I was like, oh, I don't see this guy because like, when they go like, oh, meet our new two members of the military, and it's just Todd and Shaw. But Marvel didn't attack that time. The guy disappeared before that. He wasn't presented as a soldier to the other troops with Todd and Shaw. He was in a cartridge and then on a Mac, and then he disappeared. I was like, oh well, okay, doesn't matter. He was just a Soviet guy. Like you have an awesome technology, but the spies need to use horses to get from place to place, so they just run around. It is like weird. It is definitely strange choices they do, and that doesn't. The only thing they tell me is that most people are useless, dumb, or incompetent.
Yeah.
What do you got, Tori?
Just to end my
You're
previous
you're
joke.
sighing because this is your bread and butter right now. The cons.
Well, I mean, just to end my previous joke. It ended, but it took 49 episodes for it to end. So, that's always negative, but whatever. I mean...
I'm shocked you made it through.
Me too. I have many problems with it. A lot of stuff that has already been said as well, but just kind of, you look at the show as well. You look at the leaps in logic that's taken a lot of the time as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely, it's like a good example of that is, for example, when Show goes to Upper Earth, when he and Garalia sent to Upper Earth, when he finally reunites with his family, and it's just like, Mom, Dad, I'm home. It's like, who are you? Like, it's me, your son. I've returned from the land of Bison Well. That's ridiculous. You're a fucking alien who's taken on our son's likeness and come to invade our land. I'm like, all right. All right, like
his
that's
mother just straight up pull a gun and tell him to fuck off.
I know, but it's like, it's one thing that they don't believe in. That's fine. I too would have a hard time believing my son just showing up in a mech one day after disappearing. But like, the instant you're an alien. It's like, all right, I guess.
But Tori, Invasion of the Body Snatchers came out in 1978, so you have to remember that.
Irrelevant. I still think a sane person would go like, who are you? I'm your son. Can you prove it? Yes, I can prove it. No, okay, he's an alien. That's the only logical explanation. There's no way he would know this. Okay, the only options are he's either our son or an alien who's taken on his form and his memories. Yes, that last one, obviously. So yeah, you got that. You just have the problem is the missions that they do, like the princess rescue and whatnot, when it's just it's essentially the same thing over and over again for a while, and then it comes back and they try it again. And I get it, especially some of the military operations. It's kind of to show one of the most common things when it comes to war and planning is that stuff usually never go as planned ever, and essentially most wars is just a bunch of, or most missions in war is just one failure after another until somebody has to give out or can't keep going. But that's not really a problem because no one really ever dies, despite the damage they take or the bombs that go off or anything. It's we still haven't lost a single. It's they fought so many battles against fucking Drake Luftsmen and Bishop's men and fucking all of them, and it's we still haven't lost a single person. Yeah, we still haven't lost a single person. Neither have they.
Mm-hmm.
Are you fucking serious? And then it's you also have and this is not just Dunbine. This is my problem with mech in general. a lot, because this happens way too often in my opinion, and that is the goddamn amount of technological and just industrial revolutions they go through. It becomes silly to the point where it's like, we have a new model done, or not a new model done, but we have a new model robot, and it's like, oh my god, who is in that new model robot? Cut to that other person, I've never seen this new model robot before. Like, motherfucker.
That's just unfortunately a mech trope, right? Like,
I know.
Can't escape that one.
I don't like it. It doesn't matter. I still don't like it. And that is kind of why I don't like mech in general.
For so many people who were working for Drakelove, I think they never heard about Nazi German.
Yeah.
I think one of the problems with the Nazis is they start making a bunch of different airplanes and tanks and ships, but instead of making the same one that works, they decided to spend a bunch of money, effort, and resources doing new things.
Yep. And
that was the demise of Drake most of the time as well, because he couldn't arm his army with mechas. Well, unless in the ending where everyone had mechas, but still.
Yeah. And then you fucking have that, like, the one person who desperately needed a goddamn upgrade show, because, he's stuck in the Dunbine for almost the entire show. But eventually, he finally gets what he wants. He gets his Bellbine, the upgrade that, like everything that's upgraded, it's faster. They made sure to tell you that every time. It's faster. So that's nice. So he finally gets that. And he shows everyone up that, look how many people I can fight. And then he gets, I want to fight. I want to go now and destroy Drake Luft. And it's like, no, you can't. Calm down. And then it's like, literally, not even an episode later, and it's just like, well, now this mysterious Black Knight, that obviously no one knows who is, shows up, and he's got a new robot as well, and its ability even surpasses that of Billbine's. It's like, but of course. That took 2 seconds.
That's the mid-season upgrade and then the rival,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so my issues. Yeah. Go on, Brens, before I go into mine.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, Hickey, I think you're really onto something, though, right? Like, it's that mentality. I think that Japan.
The masked guy, everyone knows who it is, but no one says anything anymore about it. The battles.
The mentality about, like, Nazi Germany making, like, the new weapon, right? Like, I think Japan was really stuck on World War II for a very, very long time, because a lot of new weapons came out and a lot of new vehicles and everything came out, and I think they were very, very socially, like, as a society, they were very, very stuck on the idea of there will always be a new weapon of war that's really going to fuck somebody up.
Yeah, war is about developing. And then also talking about World War II, the war on Earth is really cool, but it's basically World War II with mechs and aliens and nukes. A lot of nukes.
Quote unquote aliens.
Yeah. JD, what is your cons on this series? So we can move on to the amazing deliberations about Dunbine.
So my cons, because I am a definite sucker for mecha trash, the tropes.
Trash in general.
The tropes don't bother me so much. I think I've just gotten so numb to them over the years, decades at this point. But so it's weird because I have seen Gundam and Ideon prior to this. Gundam more so, in fact, and Ideon was I think I saw it like 5 years ago or so. So character choices take a lot of suspension of disbelief, and you just gonna have to push what they do to the side. Like Tori said, with "you're an alien," it's like, okay, I gotta kind of go 50-50 on this. Yeah, okay, I wouldn't believe it was my son either, but then their words aren't believable. There was a lot of that where their words didn't match the actions on screen, or it was the other way around, where they would say something, and then they wouldn't do the thing that they just said. And then just things that would be things that
said that. I remember.
Yeah,
I remember one point. New Given, he tries to save Emily twice and fail.
Right.
And then he's like, okay, let's attack Drake Luft now in the front line. And Show is like, no, let's try to save her now. And he's like, no, that's not gonna happen. We need to focus here. And then Show goes anyway, fails. And then when he comes back, Neil goes and grabs him by the chest and say, why couldn't you save her? I was like, dude.
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on in the show, and those are the kind of aspects of the show that really bothered me. And then just I can't find the word right now, but it's I guess a quality check would help, where I swear I saw every character in the show, every main character, in their designs change multiple times, for better or for worse. Marvel Frozen must have went through metamorphosis like the Dunbine multiple times.
Yeah.
Animation of that. Yeah, it was just things that were so weird. Music changing and not matching what was going on screen seemed odd a lot of the times. I think what would have helped tremendously, because of the way they wanted and did build the world in Byston Well, there was never a sense of how big anything was. They would just end up in a new area. Gundam comes to mind, where they had the benefit of Earth. We know what Earth looks like. Well, we don't know what Byston Well looks like.
Yeah.
So a map at any point would have helped tremendously.
Yeah. Remember the fucking when Show is or when the second time the aura fucking expands and they end up shooting off again when they don't go to Upper Earth, when they go to the fucking other far off land. When Show kind of shows up and it's like he's asking how to get back.
Right.
He's asking people how to get back, and they kind of just laugh, and it's just like, that's incredibly far away.
Yeah, and
only the princess, and then it's like they're back.
Yeah,
like that.
That was so weird. It's like, this guy tricked me to come here. It's like, how? How did he trick you to go to a fucking dangerous place like that?
Introducing worthless characters, or even the characters that did matter. The princess in the second half that Show meets in that far off part of the world. Instead of fleshing out the characters that you already had on screen, because you're obviously not going to kill a main character early in the show. That just doesn't happen, even for Tomino, in a lot of his shows. However, it would have helped tremendously to actually kill off a lot of these main characters. Like when the show first starts and we see Marvel kill one of the three guys that was transported initially. You had Show, you had Todd, and then you had other guy.
The Soviet guy.
The Soviet
Not
guy.
The one who sacrifices himself. The guy who died in the same line. Yes.
Yeah, he dies, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. But then nobody else seems to die in this, as Tori said, crazy war-stricken world. I mean, we do see a lot of collateral damage, and I appreciate that, but when you have characters reacting to things happening on the screen, such as war, like when Show first sees a missile go off and destroy half of Tokyo, and that was a real reaction. But in Byston Well, because they're people from another land, they kind of don't feel the same. It's like, okay, people are dying, so what would have helped was killing somebody off that they did know, like show a couple episodes of them getting to know someone they're fighting with, and then that person dies. That seemed to never happen. The map situation, something Gundam did, because this show takes a lot from Gundam in a Daeon. More so in the second half. It's almost like a carbon copy at times, where he just seemingly ran out of ideas, even though there was plenty of ideas based on the source.
I think if you look early on, you can see like I remember watching Dunbine after being a Gundam fan. I was like, I should check out some other Tomino's works. I hear Dunbine's really cool and interesting because it has like an interesting premise, right? Like the way the mechs work and everything with the aura, right?
Yeah.
But right away, one of the first things I remember when I first watched it, and it happened again when I rewatched it for this, was I saw the Zalana show up, and I was like, Is that a Xeon craft?
Yeah. Yeah, there was yeah, if you've watched Mobile Suit Gundam prior to this, you're just gonna get filled with those kind of things. Just wait a minute.
Wait a second. What's Garma doing here?
Yeah, exactly. What? Oh, guy in the mask. Gee, wonder where they got that idea from, kind of thing. Who could it possibly be?
The masked rival? Never.
Never. Just and then Ideon with well, we'll definitely get there later, but yeah,
well,
just
you can also see though these same changes that were made in Dunbine, these additions that were added to Dunbine, right? From Ideon and Gundam, basically. They also echo throughout Gundam in the future too. Like Zeta in particular.
Yeah, so it felt like Tomino had 3 ideas, 3 worlds that he wanted to build. He had a real robot show, a super robot show, and then a fantasy robot show. And then kind of molds them all together. But Gundam came first, Ideon came second, Dunbine came third. So
yep. He had a bunch of other writers with him as well, which Bandai hired. So I feel like they probably had a bit to say as well.
Yeah. And then just weird nuances that for some reason stuck out to me. I made the joke, Tori, you may remember this. I go, look at these guys piloting these giant robots and no seatbelts, so they're just bouncing around in the cockpit, getting concussed all the time. You had the ferry. There was never any sense of physics. It was just, aura, okay. A lot of cop-out moments like that. The seatbelts really stuck out to me. I got a kick out of. Because in Gundam and even in Ideon, a super robot show, they were strapped in, but in Dunbine, no, they're getting thrown around left to right all the time. Cockpits gets thrown out, and then they fall out of the mech like it's no big deal.
Yeah. Why would it be a big deal?
It really suffered. I usually let the trope of the Industrial Revolution conveniently out of nowhere slide. This one, I think, is one of the worst offenders of it. Because they did have a reason built of why they could have these mech advancements, such as Drake and the probably one of the worst names in anime I've heard in a long time, Shot Weapon.
Oh, come on. That was so great. So original, guys.
Shot Weapon.
His name's Shot Weapon. He's the creator of the mechs in the world.
But he is not.
No, he's
dun,
not.
Dun, dun.
He's the politician who took the credit.
Right.
But the engineer who actually created the mechs died in episode 38 piloting a aircraft. Sure, just sliced the guy in half.
Right.
He also had a relationship with Garalia, but when Garalia dies, he's just like, oh well.
Yeah, oh well, just...
No one cared about Garalia anyway.
So many little things do end up adding on top of each other, and that's what the... It's a big offensive of those things. Dunbine really suffers from that, for what it could have been. Everything was set up at the start to be something great, grand, original, and then it just... It was fascinating to see it just tailor off into something else. What I'm going for.
I thought it was fascinating to see it fucking get started at fucking bombastic speeds, only to lead into chaos.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh my god, everything is happening so fast. What is going on? We don't even know. What is the point of this world? What are we doing here? Shut up and fight. All right.
Okay, jeez. I just want an explanation, but everyone keeps being a dick to me and say I'm evil.
Fucking princess tried talking to Todd Guinness about what I want. No, you're all the same. Everyone from Upper Earth is just the same. It's like, fuck me. Come, just explain, please.
Find Marvel for the first time. Please explain me what is going on. No, because you're evil. I'm gonna kill you. It's like, oh well, shit.
So much racism in the show. By the way,
Oh, the part of
You
the
Jap.
kamikaze pilots.
you redneck kamikaze pilots. Yeah.
No, it's like we're gonna throw the planes against them, and she was like, "Are you gonna kamikaze?" And the American guy's like, "No, we're not Japanese."
Or Marvel saying things like to her father, like, not my words, her words. You're gonna go out there war? Yeah, I can't let a Jap show me up, right? I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, whoa.
The Soviet guy wasn't
Here you
racist.
redneck.
That was the fun part. He was a cool guy. He died to protect a princess he didn't even know. And he pulled in the
That was
USS
so
Ethan.
cringe. That was
Dude,
so cringe.
dude, seriously, get this part, put the
No.
USSR Ethan at the background and watch again. It is the best scene of this anime. If you
No.
have the USS Ethan at the background.
I refuse.
It just matched so well.
So I have a series of questions written down here in the agenda. I don't know if you guys added any questions. Did you?
Nope.
Nothing?
I mean, I can mention Knights and Magic, but I don't think people want to
Okay.
hear about it.
Well, then we'll just go down then. So let's go over the world building specifically, because that's one of the major aspects of the show. That it did pretty well. Did the show do well in us understanding the world and its people?
Yes, but it could have been better.
I
With
think
minor adjustments, it could be better. Like when we are still on Bystonwell and Drake start attacking other castles, he takes advantage of the way people think.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, I have battleships, I have mechs. They are not the major of my army, but they can put up a fight. On the other hand, people also have those, but most of the soldiers are used to fight the normal war with bows and lances and swords. Not only that, if I advance quick enough, I'm going to get to the castle, and they will try to defend the castle with their lives, because that's how people think here. This is how it goes. This is how war goes. So because of that, he advanced very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is the other side should think, maybe concentrating all of my men, all of my army to protect the castle isn't the best idea. But it took 30 episodes for that to happen. Drake says the war is changing. The way we did things are not the same, shouldn't be the same. Again, they had to be transported to Upper Earth to start fighting solely with mechs, and that doesn't make any sense at all. It just, the tactics, they advanced way too quick in 3 episodes. It stayed the same for 35, and then from 35 to 39, the tactics advanced way too much.
Yeah, way beyond the mentality that had been established throughout the series.
Yeah, it should take months. What should take months took hours. That is weird. Weird.
Anybody else?
I mean, like, I think I would say both yes and no. Like it both does well and not well. I understand a bit about the people and whatnot, but at the same time, I feel like there is so much that they're just like, you can have the argument of like show and don't tell, or tell and don't show, and like which is better. But I feel like, but the problem, especially when it comes to the world, and especially when it comes to Bison Well, Upper Earth is kind of different because we know Upper Earth, but especially when it comes to Bison Well, there is still so many questions about just the land in general, yeah, you know a bit about it and you know a bit about the people there, but just ultimately, I didn't feel like I got like I got like a cool fantasy type world, or what looked to be a cool fantasy type world, and then kind of they just said, yeah, that's it. Like you can look into it if you want and figure out more, but like you're gonna have to do that on your own.
So then, when the show crossed back into Earth, aka Upper Earth, is what they call it in the show. What did it do well or poor, or both? What did it do well and poorly, in your opinion, Tori?
When it crosses back over to the Earth, well, one of the things that I think it did well was, I'm not gonna say that it happened exactly when it crossed over, but I will say that I felt like the pace slowed down a bit. So that was nice, because I felt like a lot of Bison Well was kind of just snap, snap, keep moving. So I felt like the pace kind of slowed down a little bit. And then, just in general, seeing the world's kind of response to this unknown threat and kind of trying to figure out how to deal with it, or, kind of trying to understand what is going on. And how, the politics gets involved in this, and how people get swayed, and how people get forced into doing other, like what Drake wants and stuff like that. How America gets taken over, stuff like that. But, in that same sense, it also does poorly in this sense that, like, they keep sending soldiers to die for absolutely no reason, keep doing stuff they know don't work because... well, we need to make it seem like we're doing something. Keep launching nukes for the 50th time, even though they still don't work, or whatever. And then it's kind of just like, what else was it? Oh yeah, even I think my favorite part was like, what else can they use nukes for? And it's just like, if fucking Queen of England, look for the two suns in the night sky. That's your signal. I'm like, wow, we're using nukes as fucking signal flares. Like, come on.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
It's like, can't you just use, say, normal signal? Something? But no, nukes. It's like fucking everyone sitting on like I'm just imagining like every major country sitting on like a pile of fucking just hundreds of thousands of millions of nukes. Yeah. It's like, yeah, we got plenty to spare, boys. It's like fucking, and then you got the same thing. It's like, we need to save Paris. Make sure that Paris doesn't burn. Let's fucking fight Drake right over fucking Bishop right over goddamn Paris. That's gonna do it.
Oh look, Paris burned down. Oops.
How'd that happen?
How'd that happen? What the hell? What the hell, man? Who made that choice?
Yeah.
It was you, sir. Well, fuck you.
No, man, this was all.
Everyone is incompetent in this series. This is the major problem. Everyone is so incompetent. They keep doing those decisions. Like the part where they're gonna kamikaze, and they're like, we're gonna have 4 planes. 2 have bombs, 2 have nukes. Let's send the regular ones to see if it works first. No. Once the plane hit and like they succeed at hitting, they're gonna get prepared and shut down the planes. Yeah.
I loved how there was. I loved how there was a line where they go.
I loved Show's reaction to the kamikazes in general. Actually, like, wait, what?
Yeah, no, I like the American. You're gonna kamikaze? No, we're not Japanese.
Show's like, what the fuck?
I was like, oh shit.
I did get a kick out of. There was a literal line where there was a fighter pilot that fired a missile. Oh, our heat-seeking missiles don't work. It's almost like they don't have heat registry. And then the other guy goes, "It's okay, I got this." Then he fires the first. That's when the first nuke fires. I missed. And then the other pilot actually says the line, "You can't track them." Okay, I'll fire one more.
You can't track them. Wait, hold on. Let me try that theory out one more time.
It's like, no, you just did it.
when they try the kamikaze attack, like the guy jumps out and then like starts the remote control, and then the airplane actually hits and explodes, and he's like on the parachute going, "Ha, fuck you!" And then a laser just evaporates him. I was like, well, what is the point?
I love that. The guys that fucking bounce out of the plane, they're like, "Ha, take that!" And then a fucking giant robot shows up in front of him. He's like, "Oh no." Damn it.
Which is where Kill 'Em All Tomino comes in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
When
that
the
second
first
half. That second half definitely lives up to the Kill 'Em All Tomino name. No one is
You
safe.
think you can escape?
The first time
Hell
they
no.
crossed. The first time they crossed to Earth with Shaw family thinking he's an alien, that was very dumb. Garada killed a bunch of people, and then the Japanese army is like, "You Shaw killed a bunch of guys." I'm like, "No, he didn't." What the fuck are you talking about? Garada straight up steals a picnic thing from the family with a Red Bull and shit. It's like,
you're stealing food from little kids.
What is the point? But the second
What does
point,
my life come to?
yeah.
What decisions led me
part-
here?
It was so. I was just laughing the entire time. The second part is more interesting because again, it became Gundam. So like, it resembles Gundam. The fight for Earth, and then you have Irwa becoming a Sea of Flame again. Those kind of decisions, the decisions, the dumb decisions, the politics, a heavy politics. I don't know why people from Earth are listening and respecting the princess as princess, but that's
Because
fine.
she's royalty.
She's royalty, yeah.
Yeah, but she's not.
I love the Russian dude. Oh, he's like, I wanna now, like, we're totally gonna respect you, and just we're bringing you this present. We just wanna be on good terms. It's just like, what is in it? Well, inside there's a hidden compartment, and we have placed a portable nuke. It's like, of course. It's like in the fucking Marvel, it's just like, no, I'm gonna get rid of this. And I'm gonna fly it up into the sky. And I'm like, why not just fucking throw it at them? No, we can't have people get hurt. Fuck them. Try to kill you. Just give it back.
Like,
Just give it back.
I think, like,
Then you get that, but then Tori, you would get the line, "No takesy backsies."
Yeah. I also love the fact. You know, Show's parents. You know how his mom kill him, and he's just like, "Fuck it, no, you can't be my son," and tries to shoot him and miss. I love how that. Even at the end,
everyone misses.
No, I know,
Everyone
but I
misses
love
the shots.
I know,
It's
no,
always
but
like the right side of the head. They always aim for the right side of the head. I don't know why.
but like at the same time, it's like at the end of the show as well, when the fucking world is in chaos and everyone is fighting, and fucking no one knows who the hell, like if fucking Earth will be there tomorrow, and it's just like your son is still fighting, and she, you get the fucking picture of Show's mom walking, like she's still going to work and shit, and it's just like still gives zero fucks about anything that's going on. I'm like, yeah, there you go, Mother of the Year every year.
Every year.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, my friend.
When like the first time he goes to Earth and he's like, "No, I'm an alien," so he can protect his family because the army is threatening. And she's like, "I knew he was an alien." And Show's father's like, "No, he's saying that so he can save us." And she's like, "Bullshit." I was like, "Oh my god, this woman."
This dumb bitch right here. Like,
I'm just saying this, like, I totally understand.
Who's the worst mom in the series? Show's mom or Elmalee's mom?
Elmalee's. Elmalee's because she succeeds.
I mean, to be fair though, that was I would have never been happy in my life when I'm like, thank you, finally. Now we don't have to worry about her anymore.
I mean, I'm pretty sure what they were going for in the show is for me to give a shit about Elmalee, but as soon as the mom went, "Pah!" I went, "Oh, we'll never see her again, yes!"
Yeah. And then fucking Neil shows up and he's just like, and I'm like, yeah, fucking destroy her. And then everything the shit fucking key.
Oh, what a clusterfuck it is, those 2 last episodes. But like the second time they come to Earth, you have Big Mama Ferrari dick move, sacrificing herself and throwing the problem to another person.
Oh yeah, I really like that. Big Mama Ferrari, just like, okay, all you guys here, we're moving. Take it outside. You're going to Upper Earth. Go. Shoo.
Can I just say, it's fucking perfect. She gives her fucking life to give this problem to someone else. Yet at the same time, why does it actually matter when it literally says at the end that their souls are fucking linked, or and their souls are still linked to fucking Bison well? Ultimately, it doesn't matter. You haven't really gotten rid of the problem.
Yeah, she got rid of the robots for the time being.
For now.
That's all that mattered.
She gave her life for nothing.
Oh god.
Yeah, but the war on Earth is the second time they come to Earth is definitely better. The show takes a turn to a better direction.
So like here's my question, because you guys haven't brought it up yet, and it's one of the glaring flaws I always noticed in the show.
Right.
And it's this. Okay. Does anybody remember about the first time Emily like escaped by herself, and they were Show dropped her in the forest?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And she had that little messenger bag with like these super important plans.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think
Does anybody remember the reason they actually decided to go back after Emily is because they couldn't find those plans?
Yeah.
And then when they got her, what happened to the plans? Like,
yeah, forget about that. Don't worry about it.
they never like when they got her back. I remember watching it this time around, especially just really aggravated. They're like, I was like, why don't you ask her about the plans?
Oh come on,
that was the thing you've been talking about for 15 episodes.
That was not just the plans. The amount of times fucking they were out scouting or some shit, only to get attacked on the way back. And it's like, oh, I managed to just escape, come back, and exit fucking. So did anything happen? No, nothing. Like,
Nothing.
Excuse me?
Your Dunbine's damaged, yo.
It's like you were
clearly happened.
Like also Todd's motivation to fight. It seems at first that is his like rivalry with Show, but actually the only thing he wants is a piece of land.
Yeah.
Like every time he sees Shows, he wants to kill Show. Yes, but every time he's alone going to battle, he's like, well, I might as well win a piece of land. And then when he's in Upper Earth, he's like, well, if we succeed, Switzerland is mine. I was like, this is his sole motivation is just to have a piece of land.
Or even that fucking fantastic moment when we finally think he's dead because he was killed in battle, only to then be fucking brought back.
And he can't look at his own face.
To the woman that saved him. I'll go back to battle. Once I come back triumphantly and have a piece of land, you're gonna come and live with me.
Yep. But that will never happen because she was a Ferrari and she to greatness and lost her memories. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the subplot between like the romance subplots?
Nope.
No, we're not allowed to.
The Chunfo and Shozama's romance subplot.
I love that though. What'd you say, Icky? What is she good for? Well, she is the size of a flashlight.
Oh. Oh.
That was the best joke I dropped watching this series.
No God. It's true though. That subplot with Cham is simply one of the many romantic subplots they just dropped. They're like, we could do something about this, or hear me out, guys, hear me out. We could do nothing with it.
Whoa. Genius.
Brian,
like, you're so
that second idea, that nothing, love it, print.
That takes no work. We just drop it.
So what are we gonna do to fill the time?
Marvel frequently is like, hey, I think I'm probably gonna die here, and like shows like, okay, cool, I'll make sure to send somebody to come get you, and then just takes off. She's like, you could just be like, you know, I want to tap that ass or something. Nothing.
No.
I can't even get that. I like you.
I love it though, and it's just eventually fucking goddamn Marvel like show like Marvel fucking Keen starts liking show there for a little bit after he saved her, because you know obviously the only way to a woman's heart is to save her. And then but she's still in love with fucking
Neil.
Yeah.
What's so good about Neil? Everyone loves that guy. He's going bald as well.
And then you got fucking even Limmel.
Terrible fro.
It is. But
the hairstyles in this anime. What the fuck?
Dude, even Limmel, when she finally escapes, and here, get better, and he gives her flowers, rose flowers. And it's just like fucking even that, I'm just like, please don't do this again, even though they do turn that back to her just using that as like teasing Neil. But like still, as a motherfucker. What is happening here? Like, please.
Like when on episode 8, when someone actually explains to Sho what is going on, and it's like Marvel, and he's like, "Oh, okay, I see what's going on. Do we have anyone you like, by the way?" And she's like, "You know I like Neil." He's like, "Yeah, but do I have a chance?" And she's like, "Yeah, maybe." He's like, "Cool," and goes out.
I love it though. Even later, it's like. Do you love me? I could learn to love you. It's like, all right then. It's like, but you do care for her. Yeah. You do like her. Yeah. But you don't love her? I could learn to love her. Well, I don't know.
It's like talking to a 12-year-old going through puberty. Do you like her? Like her? I don't know about that second like. I could learn.
I could learn to like her. It's like I like her. I'm attracted to her. Like I tap that ass, but I'm not actually gonna tap that ass. Like I just like to pretend like I can.
I'd tap episode 23's ass, but episode 36, I don't know about that.
Like oh my god. And there's the fucking, what was it? But they have such like interesting little nuggets like built into Bison well, right? That are also like played to comedic effect. Like the proposal flowers.
Oh yeah.
These are called proposals. You give them to somebody that you want to marry. Like what?
Yeah.
Why do you have a flower like that?
Yeah, I still like though the way she turns that back on.
I've been to countries that have things like that. He gave me
this as a feel good. Did you say yes? Of course.
She's like, of course, you twat. You've been ignoring me for fucking 4 episodes. You were so obsessed with getting me here, and now you're just like, you know, I wasn't that interested in that ass after all. Like, what the hell, dude?
She's captured again, and then he's like, oh well.
Captured again, and then she tries to escape again, and it's like, here, quick, escape in here, and she's like, no, I'm gonna fight. Gets taken back again.
Yeah, there was a lot of go get the princess and then or battle enemy camps. Just rinse and repeat the formula.
Yep.
It goes at exactly what Brian said. So we have this thing, or we could do nothing.
Nothing. we could
How about doing nothing?
Or nothing.
How about doing nothing, but like do that nothing many times in a row?
Then you got the guy in the writing room with the staff. Okay, so now that we've done nothing, what can we do to fill time? Ideas? Okay, got it. Princess, hear me out. Princess gets taken back to bitch of a mom. You know, like those other things we've done. Okay, love it so far. All right, what's next? But the characters C will battle enemy camp by Drake.
Yep.
Well, see, when you say that, all I can think of is that meme, the guy who got in board meeting, was just like, so, anyone got any ideas of where we're going to take Dunbine now? It's just like, how about we do nothing? How about we try rescue Elmo once again? How about we actually write some interesting story for any of these characters and some motivation for why something is happening? Get
How
out.
about we how about
Get
we-
out.
How about better one? How about we write a story where Emily actually becomes a good or a battler pilot, chucks him out the window like, oh well.
We don't need
No,
you here.
you can do that.
Like they started down that line. Like that's it's one of the most like aggravating things about like that
No.
that whole
This
story
is the
arc with
best part.
Emily.
The best part about it, they start doing that, but then you have the other princess, and their personalities start to blend in, and then the other princess start to develop psychic powers, and they're yet separated once again. The personalities.
Yeah, instead of building Emily up to be that character, they just threw a new one in there, so that just negates the character you already had. The show does that constantly with.
But
with people.
Don't you remember though? This was very important because remember when they were saved from the attack on the castle and from Drake Luft? Remember what happened? Remember they were like, "Thanks for saving us. Well, we're not going to stay here. We're going to go and live in the mountains where it's safe." Like, all right.
Yeah, that was Bozo the Clown Princess.
But that was just like, we have all these monsters that are out there to kill people, and we have war raging. And rather than staying in a fucking castle with your mom's dad, you're fucking like, nah, let's go and fucking
Let's go live in solitude.
let's live in the goddamn mountains. Like, all right.
Let's hold on. Let's remember though that they capitalize on that idea you just had there, Tori, where they send him when he comes back from fucking Upper Earth and lands on the creature trying to kill him.
Oh yeah, no, I know that happens. I love it though. It's just like, are you the one who brought me back? I don't know.
I don't know.
It was like, thanks, Red.
Oh God.
I was thinking about how I could use you really well right now.
It's like, why? I wonder.
In a fun way, we've actually answered all of the questions I have here.
Oh, that was good.
That was good. Well, any final thoughts on Dunbine before we give our scores and call it a day?
I'm ready to give scores.
I have quite a few thoughts actually.
All right, go for it.
Do you guys want to talk about the 2 last episodes as well? The conclusion of that?
Might as well.
Do you guys want to talk about everyone dying randomly and revenge filled?
Well, you see, what happened, Hickey, was Ideon got canceled.
It was like smoking aces.
Yeah, Ideon got canceled.
Like smoking aces.
So then Dunbine wanted to just go right off the script on that one.
Dunbine wanted to get canceled.
Everyone is like, every main character killed someone, then died.
Yep.
And
Well,
dies
don't
themselves.
forget,
And then
not only was
all the spaceships that had this outer like this aura protecting them, the aura suddenly stopped working and they just killed and ships explode and shit.
Dude,
They just ran space battleships into each other. It was what the fuck.
hey, come on. I loved it though. Fucking when Drake is finally like, okay, I've had enough shit. It's time for me to go out and finally show why I'm the king and show my superior aura skills and my superior tactics and why I'm the best warrior. Goes on the spaceship, gets fucking shot down immediately. Like,
I killed Drake.
You have Hyper Show and a bunch of hyper stuff going on.
that was so dumb. Fucking all the hyper shits. Like, well, what's hyper? Well, see, I turn into a giant. Of course.
You know, I do want to correct something you keep saying, JD.
Okay.
You're like, but a Daeon got canceled. Remember, it wasn't just a Daeon that got canceled. Gundam got canceled as well.
Well, sure, yeah.
Gundam was very not popular, so. Gundam was very not popular, and then the fucking Gunpla for some reason, I was just like, yes.
No,
Hell
actually,
yeah.
like
Yeah,
Gundam was popular. The problem with Gundam is back then, from what I remember, back then the way advertising worked for anime and like TV shows and stuff was certain companies would sponsor your anime so they could sell a product.
Oh, just like they
there
do
were
now.
all these. There was a washing machine company as what sponsored Gundam. And they weren't selling enough washing machines. So Gundam got the axe.
I wonder what was the sponsor of Ideon.
Gundam is the best anime that you're supposed to be sponsored by washing machines.
Oh, man.
Like, this is how we're gonna sell washing machines. It's brilliant, guys. It's a machine. Washing machines are a machine. It'll work.
I'm just picturing this. They sell like a completely just standard fucking white washing machine, and then they slap a goddamn Gundam sticker on it. Go like, come on, guys. Fucking gold right here.
Gold, right? So like Aura Battler Dunbine actually does like a lot of really interesting things, aside from being literally the first isekai, right? Like, it started the epidemic, guys, just so you're aware. But I think it does like a lot of interesting things, and you see a lot of what Dunbine did carried forward into even anime today, for good and bad. And in fact, like the mech designs of a couple of suits in Zeta were heavily based off of, or not based off, but very similar to the mech designs in Dunbine. In particular, the Masala, its forearms on the Masala look a lot like the drum row. You know, there's a lot of things that the show kind of contributed to the mech genre. I think it was the first fantasy mech, or one of the first fantasy mechs. It might not have been the first, because I think there was another one in the early 80s. But you know, we can't forget, you know, those things about it. Despite it getting caught in like the Tamino trap, which is why we know he just makes Gundam now, and he doesn't even make all of Gundam. So they don't let him. Like Reconquista G, like, is a perfect example. He's like, there were mistakes made. Like, you mean you didn't listen to the studio when they told you weren't gonna have 50 episodes? Like, but I think a lot of the interesting things that come out of Dunbine in particular are the way the world was constructed around the isekai character, kind of learning about the world as he lives in it, rather than just being told what the world is. And I think that the show didn't do like a great job with it, but I think that we can see that as like an early example of things like Those Who Hunt Elves, Magic Knight Ray Earth, Escaflowne, like learning about the world as you live in it, right? Without needing exposition. Like, and I think Aura Battler Dunbine did an alright job at it. I just don't think it did a good enough job at it didn't want to slow down from the mech fights for whatever fucking reason. It just didn't want to like sit there and just be like, you know, let's take a second and just let Sho explore the world he lives in. They're like, no, you gotta get back in the Dunbine, bro.
Gotta get bounced around in that cockpit some more.
No helmet.
Oh, he had a helmet later. So did Champ, but it took a while.
That was so annoying. Oh wait, I'm gonna need to change. All right, sure.
Why?
Because now safety after hundreds of concussions matters.
Oh, come on, it's just a motorcycle.
Yeah,
just a motorcycle helmet.
Yeah, but I still found it weird whenever he was just like, I'm leaving, chum. Like, if you want to join, if you want to be a part of this, you're going to have to come now. She's like, wait. So, like, why are you even waiting for her? Like, what does she actually do?
She's like his cheerleader.
Yeah, no, I know she's even more important that you see, because let me retell you the tales of Bison Well as told by the Ferrarios. Remember? Start of every episode?
Yep.
Yeah, every episode, every single one, you need to make sure that the Ferraris are actually badass, and also Chum is the protagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It was her the whole time.
no, it was that Navy admiral technically was like the one telling the story, right?
As told by the Ferrario, yes.
As told by Cham to him to tell the story of Byston Well so that people might remember. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
Like no, like really, this. The funny thing is, Aura Battler Dunbine ends like smoking aces. If you, I don't know if you guys have seen that movie.
Yeah.
But it's just a revenge-filled murder fest of just people killing each other at the end, and everybody dies. And that's kind
Sounds
of
like a Tarantino movie.
yeah.
It certainly is.
How'd you know? But it's the ending does crack me up quite a bit. But for those of you who thought that everybody died, I have news for you, because I don't care if I spoil this, because there's no point to go rewatch it.
Is Todd alive?
No. In fact, no. Actually, it's the one person you wouldn't imagine survived. Well, actually, not the one person. There's people you probably wouldn't imagine survived. But
Yeah.
in particular, Shot Weapon makes his comeback in a new story of Bison Well
Oh God.
as an undead lich 700 years later.
Oh my God.
Okay. Well, so technically he didn't survive
I mean,
because he's an undead. But still,
he did, and he didn't.
why
Like, you
him?
get this
Of
cool
all
scene of
people.
like his skin melting
all
off and shit.
Yeah, it was the most, like, the biggest romance part in this show, and he comes back. Why him? Of all people, we have
He's the bad
30
guy.
main characters in this shit, and why Shot
The
Weapon
bad guy always needs to come back, because the bad guy will never be defeated. He will never give up.
Oh God. But like, so like he basically shows up because like basically there's this guy in Byston Well who's like, I must kidnap a princess from this other country that
Of course.
has a legendary treasure, and a dude who has a Japanese name falls into the hole in the ground and finds the legendary treasure is in fact the Dunbine, an Aura Battler. So of course Shot Weapon has to be there in all of his melty skin goodness to make more battlers to fight.
Is he the guy in the mask this time around?
Are you telling me Big Mama Ferrario's sacrifice was useless as well?
Yes. Shot Weapon survives. Wings of
Shocking.
like, don't watch. So that's the only one where you see like a comeback. You see some kind of like callbacks in the other ones, but like, don't watch Wings of Rian. Is another sequel. It's a mess. A big mess. And most certainly, if you're gonna watch Garzy's Wing, drink when you watch it, because that's the only way it's fun. Drink every time they say Garzy's Wing. You'll be sloshed by the second episode.
I don't want to poisoning. Thank you.
So,
God.
but like
Deal.
Garzy's Wing, like that doesn't even make any fucking sense. So like it's like they had all these like interesting things they could have done to expand out on the world, right? Because Aura Battler Byston Well itself is interesting, right? You could have like expanded on the world, and like, having seen Aura Battler Dunbine and like read the books, supposedly Garzy's Wing and Wings of Rian make more sense, but not really. So like I wouldn't recommend ever watching any of the spin-offs. It's just not worth it unless you're just wanting to watch a bad anime and drink to it.
That sounds good.
Sounds awesome. I need to buy more rubbish alcohol then.
Of
Rebel
course, only the
Stone's
shittiest.
Canadian whiskey.
No. That 98% proof.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm gonna watch a bad anime just like you said it was, just by what you said, I feel like going to a hospital after.
Pump him
Like, I feel-
quick.
Give me an IV of Everclear. I just watched Garzy's Wing.
You're like, finish me off.
It's like, he has alcohol intoxication. What happened? Garza's wing. Fuck.
That poor guy.
Yeah, please, as many as we can.
Oh, and fucking Bishat Hate. Oh my god, that's such a dumb name. So many dumb names. So many dumb names in the show.
It's filled with it.
I feel like that's just standard fucking Japanese though when it comes to like trying to think of like English names. It's just like, what are some things?
Well, that's Tamino. Like,
no, it's not just Tamino. That shit happens in modern anime too.
At least when Akira Toriyama did it, well, no, I mean Tamino does it in all of his shows, is what I mean. But like, at least when Akira Toriyama did it for like the entirety of his stuff, he was like, "There's gonna be a theme because it's Dr. Briefs, Bulma, Briefs, Trunks Briefs." Yeah.
I mean, I still remember. Was it Hanayamata? I think it was maybe. I was like, one of the fucking American girls' name is fucking like what? Was it Fountain Stand or something like that? I don't remember.
Yeah, at least in terms of names, like a big problem with a lot of modern anime is, for example, the biggest offender is they name a character based on, let's call it, a power they have. So it's like, oh, what's your name? My name's Yami. Ooh, what's your power? The power of darkness stuff. Ooh, shocking. What's his opponent gonna be? Well, his name's Licht. Oh, what is that? Well, in German, it translates to light. Ooh, what could his power possibly be? So it was like, oh, we didn't get like Drake Luft in a Dunbine. It's like, ooh, what's the Dunbine's power? Is it the power of air? It was none of that.
Oh my god, I actually wish they would have done that.
Is he an airbender?
Is he an airbender?
You know, it wasn't to that offensive. So I did, even though the names were dumb.
When they encounters Marvel and he's like, "Oh, you're American," and she's like, "Well, why are you saying that?" And he's like, "Well, Frozen is definitely an English name." Yeah, I love that part so much.
Yeah, she didn't have like an ice-powered Dunbine by any means, so. You know,
she would be useless anyways.
Yeah, it would have been a useless ice. All the ice would have melted anyways.
What about like that whole line of mechs that's like the Will-O-Wisp?
Oh yeah.
Oh, can I just
the Leprechaun?
Dude, I fucking love whenever they try to pronounce that shit. The Widow Whips. The Widow Whips.
Yeah.
Leprechaun no.
Oh Jesus!
All right, guys, I'm calling it. Hickey, what'd you give this show?
Yes, I give this show a 5. I would say it is a bad show. If you're gonna watch it with someone so you can discuss just like we did. It is more fun discussing the show and talking about it than actually watching it.
True
that indeed. I'll go. Even though I'm a sucker for these kinds of shows, there was a lot of flaws. In the end, I probably had about as much fun. Because at the end of the day, we watch anime for fun.
No.
Well, okay, Tori.
Yeah.
I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I stand corrected.
His miserable life.
The things that bothered me weren't detrimental to the series. I was probably more upset with the show diverting from its fantasy aspect into becoming Gundam and Ideon, especially at the end. Even though I did still enjoy it, I kind of missed what it started out being. But I still enjoyed the show. It has a ton of flaws that are super fun to make fun of. So I just gave it a generous 6 out of 10. 3.5 out of 5. 4.
3.5 out of 5 would be a 7.
3 out of 5. My bad.
I see, JD actually gave it a 7.
No, I gave it a 6.
Now you see why the flaws of this show aren't detrimental to JG. He's as incompetent as the characters.
Yeah, well.
But anyway.
Thanks.
I'm just kidding, JT. You know you're not incompetent. You were more dumb than incompetent.
Oh God.
Ah, man. All right then. So yeah, Dunbine is definitely for me a show that will fall more into, starts falling a lot into the realm of just so bad it's. I would only want to say so bad it's good, but so bad that it's entertaining at least. Because it's the amount of just bad writing and just nonsensical bullshit that they pull in this show. It is almost too much to handle, but I actually did manage to finish the show somehow. But at the end of the day, I did not have a good time, so I gave it a 3.
Oh, jeez. So, yeah. I actually really enjoy Aura Battler Dunbine. I enjoyed it watching it the second time around. Even through its divergence, I was just like, you really can't find a show similar to Aura Battler Dunbine because
Good.
I think,
Good.
Good.
God.
Well, no, I specifically mean not in the fantasy mech sense, but in the way that the Aura Battlers operated, right? The Aura Battlers didn't have fuel. There was nothing about them like that said, okay, this is how they're gonna do this thing. It was literally like up to the pilot to supply enough energy for the battler to do what it to move, to fly, to do what it needed to do, right? There was no engine to convert mana, there was no fuel, there was no dragon heart, or dragon stone or whatever it was in Escaflowne.
Yeah.
There was nothing like that. And I can't really think of a mech that really did have like a real robot feel where it was but powered by your life energy.
Tengen Topographen?
It's a super robot though.
Yeah, I know.
Real
like I'm thinking of a max. Yes, this is. I think this is the closest you can get. Yeah. This is the closest.
And so I think that's to a lot of benefit of it. It had an interesting world, and it started the isekai genre, which, while more often than not nowadays is a very, very cringy genre to see show up,
right?
Did produce quite a few good shows. I think it's an example of the ingenuity of Tomino as far as it comes to creating things. He has a lot of bad, but he also has quite a bit of good that he did for the genres.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this show kind of gets like that Sailor Moon treatment. You go back, you watch it, you appreciate what it did. It does some good, does some bad.
Yeah, I can't do that.
But if I had to rate it,
Sailor Moon.
if I had to rate it, out of 10, I'm gonna say 6 out of 10 because it does have flaws. It has quite a few flaws, but it's also very unique and I think entertaining in a way that if you like mech, it's something that you owe it to yourself to kind of check out if you like mech and isekai. If you like Escaflowne, you owe it to yourself to kind of at least check out part of the series to kind of get an idea of where it started. So
it gets about a 5 out of 10 from the cast. It's not terrible. Not the best score, but
I wish it was lower.
Well, you tried. You tried to make it lower, Tori.
Can I change my score to a 1?
No, it's too late. You can't do that. No, they're locked in.
Damn it.
Oh God. So, Brains, I would like to thank you so much for coming on and being a part of this cast.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was a long one. And if you've enjoyed the cast, please head on over to iTunes or Stitcher and leave us a review. It's a good free way to support the cast. And we're also on Spotify now. So that's a
Ooh.
good ooh. That's Red Leaf Retrocast, and we have well over 60 episodes now and rising quickly. A slew of other things that you could listen to, gaming, wrestling, what have you. So definitely go check those out. And for our next episode, will be over Future Boy Conan, an anime that I can't take credit for discovering, but it's definitely going to be a fun cast. So this has been the Red Leaf Retrocast, episode 28, Aura Battler Dunbine. Thank you, everybody. See you later.
Peace.
Bye.
Hooray.
3 hours, huh?
Yeah.
That means it was a fun cast.
It was a fun cast then. We stretched it out that long.
Yeah. Hey.
Not bad, not bad.
It's normal for me, I guess. So I'm like,
Well, it used to be normal, but then we finally reduced the time of the cast for like 2 hours and a half. Used to be like 4 hours, almost 5.
Yeah, that was basically just, I mean, a lot of it just came down to cutting out a lot of the fluff. Because then we would have some lengthy segments of just actually nothing.
right.
We just go into this random tangent and keep going for some reason.
Yep. Every time somebody tries to take it back, somebody else. No, wait. Say.
I think we've gotten better over the episodes. We're at 28 now, so that kind of matters.
I mean, not really, but yes.
It matters, Tori. Make me feel better.
Well, make you feel better.
Make me feel. What's the word? Instant gratification.
Well, what about no? just leave this romance subplot there in the air. You guys already are together in the fucking spanking furry outfit stuff, so.
Shut the fuck up. I will make you feel better once you make me feel bad isekai anime that I have to watch. Well, I don't have to watch them, but that I decided to watch. Why do I do this? Let's see here.
Because anime's great.
Well, yeah, I
great.
guess. Nah, it's been a while since I watched everything that came out in the season. So I just decided that I have time.
You're not watching everything. You're trying everything.
I am not watching everything. What I did was like I watch everything within reason. So no sequels to shows I haven't seen, and no spin-offs to shows I haven't seen because I don't care, and no Zoids because fuck Zoids.
Okay, come on. Zoids was all right.
I wouldn't know. Nah, it's so I just kind of skipped that. So I'm watching everything that doesn't have any sequels, and I'm also not crazy like Hickey, so I allow myself to drop stuff.
No, you shouldn't be. Also, when I did that, I watched every first and second season of a bunch of anime, so I could watch the.
I know.
Forward. And I rewatched Hellgrow, which was like 3 seasons of nothingness.
Exactly. That's what I mean when I say I'm not crazy.
But Hellgrow are 3 seasons of nothingness. You have stories on like the first episode and then the last 5. But usually they go like 30 episodes a season.
I like Hellgirl.
Only thing I remember from Hellgirl is that fucking one scene playing out every fucking episode when she is going from hell to the real world. Every time, exact same animation, like every episode. And I'm sitting there like,
that's what we call stock animation, my friend.
That's what I call fucking terrible.
Fucking stock animation.
It's like, yeah, but it's like, you know, any sane person would have cut down the length of those scenes, but no, never.
There's a mech show called Flag, which is kind of like an interesting take on the mecha genre, right? Like, 'cause it's a photojournalist's main character, right?
Mm-hmm.
But and they've got this cool mech, and it has like this cool transformation sequence, but they literally use that same footage endlessly.
That they do. I agree with that. Still, though, Flag was good. I enjoyed that. Oh, let's
But
see.
yeah,
What is going on?
Trigger has a
What is coming
Patreon
out
now,
today?
guys.
Yeah, I know.
It's
I love
excited.
it. I love it. The dude who's controlling that Twitter, he was he was afraid of getting fired, so he has launched this initiative to basically secure his. They can't fire him because he is in control of the Patreon. He's in control of the money.
Oh God.
They're very trigger-like.
Yep. JD, which episode was this?
28.
Alright, then I was right.
I would like your name. I would like your name at the front of the file.
Well, listen, JD, I don't have time to look this up.
It is literally open in front of you right now.
Yeah, you don't know that. I could have closed it.
You just
True.
confirmed.
You don't know his story. You don't know his life.
Yeah, that is true.
You
If
can prove
only
that
someone
in the court of law.
explained to me in the first 5 episodes what is going on.
Yeah. I really would have appreciated that.
There was quite a few people on Mixer that tuned into the stream.
Are they okay?
Well, of course.
Whoa, are
You
you
are
saying
one of the biggest streamers on Mixer.
Yeah. you must have fucking reached the front page with like 5 people?
Something must have happened because when we got to when we started talking Dunbine, like 5 people from Mixer showed up.
Yeah. So, like I said, then we got you were definitely front page.
Front page on Mixer for web shows.
Top streamer, 3,000 viewers. Number 2, 900 viewers. 3, JD, 5.
That is how Mixer works. Oh God.
Good God. You and Mixer. You're
Sitting in a tree.
I like Mixer. It's very very user friendly. Except the yeah.
Okay. I thought it was just the fact that you liked being the top dog somewhere. Oh, give me 1 second, guys. Just 1 second.
Okay.